tribute. Zhang Ying'er cast a discerning glance at him. He was known to be an obsequious sycophant, possessing remarkably subpar business acumen and managerial skills. Nevertheless, his ascent to one of the core board members of Tianyu City was attributed solely to his extensive network. As the younger brother of a board member, he had spent years navigating the lower echelons of the business world, self-taught in the art of flattery, consistently winning over his superiors. Thanks to their favor, his promotion journey was rather smooth, culminating in his successful inclusion in the board after outlasting several veteran members. Jiang Yuan hails from the southern city, and a geographical analysis suggests that individuals from this region, steeped in historical culture, typically harbor a penchant for collecting. The sycophant continued to prattle on, thus, I propose we present Director Jiang with an antique. I happen to possess a painting titled Siamese Flower. If no one objects, I shall take charge of this matter. Upon hearing this, the assembly grew discontented. Presenting a gift to Jiang Yuan was a significant undertaking for all of Tianyu City. In other words, should one succeed in winning Jiang Yuan's favor, it would reflect glory and merit upon all involved. Yet, this sycophant's words clearly indicated his desire to claim sole credit for the exquisite painting. It was common knowledge that winning Jiang Yuan's favor represented immense honor and wealth. While the Siamese flower painting was indeed commendable, it was ultimately a foreign artifact. And I had heard that Mr. Jiang was not particularly fond of such items. Thus, should we carelessly present him with something that might offend him, we could very well fail in our intentions, or worse, incite his disdain. Your suggestion is rather unwise. I cannot concur, another voice interjected. Another proposal emerged. Surely, no man can resist the allure of beauty? Our city is renowned for its abundance of stunning women. Why not prepare a selection of exquisite goddesses with perfect proportions for Mr. Jiang? However, dissent arose once more. Do you truly believe a man of Jiang Yuan's stature is lacking in female companionship? Most likely, your sentiments are shared by many, and I doubt such gifts would leave a lasting impression. Zhang Ying'er signaled for silence, her demeanor calm, yet authoritative as she spoke. I believe Mr. Jiang would surely appreciate our local specialties, such as the prized Matsutake mushrooms. Yet, someone rejected, but that is Su Tianfei's exclusive collection, monopolized for many years as his personal enterprise. Zhang Ying'er frowned. Only rare and precious items can truly convey our sincerity. If we merely offer commonplace gifts like beautiful women or antiques, how can Mr. Jiang perceive our earnestness? Raising her voice, she declared, I shall negotiate with Su Tianfei to ensure that Mr. Jiang receives the most treasured specialty from our city as a testament to our goodwill. At this moment, Jiang Yuan furrowed his brow and inquired, what is the relationship between Su Tianfei and you? Xiao sighed and replied, a month ago, he took a fancy to my sister and has persistently sought to marry her. However, he is a notoriously disreputable figure in our locality, having discarded his previous wives once he grew weary of them. Naturally, my sister would never acquiesce to his demands, prompting him to visit us repeatedly to cause trouble. Chapter 388, The True Trap. Upon hearing the full account, Jiang Yuan couldn't help but lightly furrow his brow. Given that the individual named Su was the wealthiest man in City S, he ostensibly had no shortage of women. Why then was he so fixated on Xiao Guo's sister? Could it be that she possessed such extraordinary beauty and ethereal charm? Seemingly perceiving Jiang Yuan's confusion, Xiao Guo elaborated. This Su Tianfei has a peculiar obsession with collecting. It is said that he once boasted about wanting to amass women of all types. At this point, Xiao Guo gritted his teeth and continued. He must have been drawn to my sister's stubborn personality, which stands in stark contrast to the other women who readily throw themselves at him. Upon reflection, this notion held merit. Typically, when confronted with wealth, ordinary women would gaze with eager eyes, yearning to throw themselves into his embrace. Yet here was a woman of ideals, unyielding and unwilling to comply. Such resistance could undoubtedly ignite a man's desire to conquer. The more elusive a woman, the more she incites madness and obsession. Perhaps this was the reason Su Tianfei had persistently sent people to pester them. Jiang Yuan's brow relaxed, and he reassured, do not worry, I am here. Xiao Guo nodded vigorously, his eyes brimming with trust in Jiang Yuan. Jiang Yuan's prowess had been unmistakably displayed during their time in Tianyu City, even prompting the influential board members in City S to pay him their respects. Such honor and influence were unparalleled in the annals of City S. Though Xiao Guo was unaware of Jiang Yuan's true identity, he felt a sense of security in his presence. However, a flicker of concern crossed Xiao Guo's eyes as he cautioned, this Su Tianfei is audacious and ruthless. Though you are formidable, we cannot dismiss the possibility of him employing underhanded tactics. It is prudent to remain cautious. Jiang Yuan acknowledged with a slight hum and inquired, "So what do you propose?" Xiaogua hesitantly suggested, "I believe it would be best to avoid conflict. If we can send them away peacefully, we should do so without engaging in direct confrontation." Jiang Yuan replied nonchalantly, "As you wish." In his eyes, these individuals were merely ruffians, little more than thugs who had stumbled into wealth. They hardly warranted his concern. From a distance, Xiaogua and Jiang Yuan observed as two impressively built men disembarked from a Lamborghini adorned with a distinctive star emblem. The older of the two appeared as if clad in a suit of bronze armor, his physique a testament to countless battles and honed muscles. "Xiao Yuan, remember not to provoke them," Xiaogua whispered. "I will handle this. You need not speak." Jiang Yuan casually nodded in agreement. As the two men approached, they scrutinized Jiang Yuan, their eyes gleaming with a sharp intensity. "Are you here to see my sister?" Xiaogua called out loudly. "She is not here. You should leave." The two men remained silent, not even casting a glance towards Xiaogua, as if they had not heard a word he uttered. "At last, it seems you have arrived." The voices of the two men carried a tone of ease. Before Xiaogua could fully comprehend what they were discussing, he was horrified to witness them pounce upon Jiang Yuan like ferocious tigers. Their true target was, in fact, Jiang Yuan. In that fleeting moment, Jiang Yuan recalled the warning given to him by Yao Wenwen prior to his arrival here. It became evident that these individuals had orchestrated their scheme meticulously. Jiang Yuan's senses sharpened. They had already conducted an exhaustive investigation into my affairs, including Xiaogua and his sister, and had deliberately awaited my arrival here. Chapter 389. A perilous killing trap in an instant. Jiang Yuan's thoughts raced like lightning, and he comprehended the entirety of the situation. Prior to his journey to S City, Yao Wenwen had warned him that certain prominent figures from abroad sought his demise. The reason being, his previous display of brilliance had dealt a significant blow to the arrogance of foreign adversaries. However, Jiang Yuan was somewhat surprised to discover that the wealthiest individual in S City, Su Tianfei, had already conspired with these foreigners. They had somehow conducted a covert investigation into his relationship with Xiaogua and had laid a trap in advance. Ostensibly, Su Tianfei was infatuated with beauty, fixating on Xiaogua's sister, Guo Zichen. Yet, in reality, his intent was to cause harm to Jiang Yuan. Confronted with the sudden aggression of these two men, Xiaogua turned pale, trembling as he implored, "Let us talk this over calmly. Please don't do this." However, his pleas fell on deaf ears, as the two assailants disregarded his words and aimed a vicious elbow strike at Jiang Yuan. This was the apex of Muay Thai, a technique of unparalleled lethality. A typical adult struck by such a blow would likely suffer a fractured jaw, their life hanging precariously in the balance. Such venomous intent, Jiang Yuan remarked with a light chuckle. Faced with such a fierce and ruthless assault, a common person would undoubtedly sustain life-threatening injuries if hit directly. Yet, Jiang Yuan displayed no sign of panic. Instead, a hint of disdain flickered in his eyes. A pair of hands, as white and delicate as jade, suddenly interposed before him. The hands were slender and exquisitely graceful, unmistakably belonging to a woman. Yet, they bore an extraordinary strength, effortlessly absorbing the force of the incoming elbow strike. She was none other than Jiang Yuan's bodyguard, the sole woman among them. With deft precision, she nullified the opponent's well-honed attack. Practitioners of Muay Thai typically train from a young age, striking wooden posts to harden their elbow joints. The power behind a seasoned fighter's elbow strike is unrivaled. Yet, at this moment, the fierce strike was deftly countered by the unexpected appearance of a woman. The assured fatal blow had failed. The two assailants felt a weight in their hearts and furrowed their brows, opting for a hasty retreat rather than pressing their advantage. Jiang Yuan stood resolute beside his female bodyguard, facing the two burly men with unwavering composure. "Do you believe yourselves clever?" Jiang Yuan said coolly. "Do you think I'll be thrown into disarray, caught off guard by your assault? I came prepared and harbor no fear of your ilk." Upon hearing Jiang Yuan's confident and icy tone, the two dangerous men did not falter. Instead, a look of disdain crossed their faces. Before they could respond, the roar of engines erupted around them, accompanied by mocking laughter. The Bai brothers, renowned for their lethal prowess in Muay Thai, had been thwarted by a mere woman. No wonder their combined worth barely reached 200 million. If I were one of those two individuals, I might as well find a block of tofu to end my own life, for the shame is unbearable. Indeed, since so many have gathered today, the fate of Jiang Yuan is already sealed. It remains to be seen who possesses the prowess to seize it. As for the Bai brothers, their chances appear grim. At this moment, Xiao Guo was overwhelmed with terror, realizing that the surroundings were not merely graced by a single luxury vehicle adorned with Su Tianfei's distinctive star emblem. In fact, there were 3 such vehicles. It seemed that these cars were also occupied by numerous formidable experts. Chapter 390. Su Tianfei's Disdain in S-City. At the exquisite Yuetian restaurant, renowned as one of the most luxurious dining establishments in the entire city, Su Tianfei sat with a knife and fork in hand, savoring a piece of locally sourced matsutake mushroom. As he languidly moved his vibrant red tongue, he casually inquired of his secretary beside him, "What is the total expenditure for this endeavor?" The secretary retrieved a financial report and responded, "The counterpart has allocated a budget of 4 billion. We have engaged the expertise of the Bia brothers, masters of Muay Thai, and the former international criminal psychology expert, Li Tong." Before he could finish, Su Tianfei interjected, "It is merely the matter of handling one individual, not an entire trained unit. Why would they be so generous with their funds?" The secretary, with a wry smile, replied, "Mr. Su, you must understand that any prominent figure is invariably accompanied by bodyguards and protectors commensurate with their status and influence. Given the considerable distance, they have had no choice but to enlist our services, yet the intelligence regarding the target is exceedingly scant. All we know is that this individual is named Jiang Yuan, which implies a potential risk associated with this mission." Su Tianfei scoffed. "What nonsense! Jiang Yuan? I have never even heard of him. He is likely just a talented individual who has offended some foreign bigwigs, and by mere coincidence has found himself in our territory, prompting us to lend our assistance." A glimmer of insatiable greed sparkled in his eyes as he continued, "I see no need to exhaust the entirety of the budget allotted to us. Why not retain a portion for our own indulgence? That will be far more agreeable." Witnessing his employer's avarice, the secretary could not help but sigh internally. Were it not for the late master's dying wish, he would prefer not to exert such effort in persuasion. "Mr. Su, it is imperative that you approach this matter with caution," the secretary advised. "Jiang Yuan is likely far more complex than you presume. Consider this. Even world-class magnates seek his demise. What does that signify?" Su Tianfei disdainfully retorted. "What could it possibly signify? It merely indicates that this person is foolish enough to offend such magnates. He is a simpleton, nothing more." The secretary shook his head with a bitter smile. On the contrary, this underscores the perilous nature of such a figure. It suggests that even the most formidable magnates harbor a deep-seated animosity towards him, perhaps even a sense of fear. Pausing momentarily from his enjoyment of the matsutake, Su Tianfei hesitated. "Surely not. Perhaps he has merely encroached upon some interests?" The secretary solemnly stated, "There are many who aspire to infringe upon others' interests. Yet how many possess the capability to truly seize what belongs to another? Although the counterpart has presented an exorbitant budget, they seem to lack absolute confidence in success. They indicated that further collaboration with us might ensue." Su Tianfei remained unconvinced, shaking his head repeatedly. "They have invested so much money and summoned so many experts. How could they possibly fail to deal with a single individual?" The secretary replied, "As the saying goes, the higher the path, the higher the demon. Perhaps Jiang Yuan is protected by even more formidable individuals." Su Tianfei muttered, "It cannot be as exaggerated as you suggest." He then resumed his indulgence in the exquisite cuisine, falling silent. At this moment, Jiang Yuan cast a subtle glance at the 3 luxury vehicles, from which approximately a dozen figures gradually emerged. The demeanor of these individuals was strikingly formidable, their eyes glinting like sharp blades, exuding an air of piercing intensity. Chapter 391. The billion-dollar bounty. Confronted by these enigmatic and formidable figures, Jiang Yuan leisurely extracted a cigar from his pocket. His slender fingers exhibited no trace of anxiety or tremor. Instead, they exuded a calmness akin to a traveler savoring delicacies on a summer afternoon. With his other hand, he deftly produced a pair of scissors, skillfully trimming the end of the cigar before igniting it. This man is truly reckless. How dare he provoke us at this juncture? A sense of fury ignited in the eyes of several experts present. Does he truly believe that a single individual can withstand the collective might of so many assembled here? Not only does he refuse to beg for mercy, but he also dares to indulge in a cigar? He must be a madman. A madman? Perhaps this is the final cigar of his life. The experts in attendance were predominantly individuals who had witnessed countless horrors. The palpable aura of lethal intent alone sent shivers coursing through Xiao Guo's skin, causing his legs to tremble uncontrollably. Were it not for the fortitude of others, Many would have already succumbed to panic, drenched in sweat and begging for clemency. Yet, in this moment, Jiang Yuan appeared as if he were greeting a long-lost friend, nonchalantly lighting his cigar. As he inhaled and exhaled clouds of smoke, his eyes sparkled with a brilliance that was almost disquieting. Some astute observers sensed an unsettling shift, heightening their vigilance as they whispered warnings among themselves. This man does not seem to be merely posturing. Rather, he exudes an air of confidence that warrants caution. The Bai brothers, eager for swift success, had previously suffered a setback and would undoubtedly seek to reclaim their honor. Perhaps we should adopt a wait-and-see approach. However, dissent emerged among the ranks, as others voiced their discontent. The foreign benefactor who summoned us only invested several billion. Each of us received merely a few hundred million. Yet, the one who ultimately claims Jiang Yuan's life stands to reap a bounty of 100 billion. If we remain passive, shall we not relinquish the fruits of victory? The hearts of the other experts surged with fervor as they regarded Jiang Yuan, their gazes transforming from mere observation into that of desperate beggars eyeing a sumptuous feast. 100 billion bounty. Such an exorbitant reward was enough to ignite a frenzy within countless souls. Who is this Jiang Yuan? To have attracted such an extraordinary bounty from that esteemed figure, it leaves one utterly perplexed. In my lifetime, I have witnessed the highest bounty of 30 billion awarded to the legendary mercenary, Black Wolf. That fellow is truly a madman, daring to undertake perilous missions. Yet, even that task bore only a fraction of this bounty. I cannot fathom the secrets Jiang Yuan possesses. But matters not. We shall focus solely on fulfilling our mission and leave the rest to others. Meanwhile, the Bai brothers, who had initially confronted Jiang Yuan, exchanged cold huffs and stepped forward, resolutely advancing. The two men, having failed in their strike, found themselves at a disadvantage against a woman who had gained the upper hand, thus losing significant face before the assembled multitude. Naturally, they were intent on reclaiming their honor. Before Jiang Yuan could utter a word, his female bodyguard, resembling a fierce dragon, flashed a glint of coldness in her eyes and spoke in a chilling tone, "Dislocate your own hands. If you wish to leave today, now is the time to act." Chapter 392. The disparity in reputation. Jiang Yuan's expression remained impassive, his eyes calm and composed. One hand rested in his pocket while the other held a cigarette, but he silently puffed on his cigar, resembling a spectator engrossed in the World Cup, quietly observing the standoff between his subordinates and the opposition. "Cut off your hands. Today, I shall let you leave." The words of his female subordinate, fierce as a she-dragon, detonated like a bomb, igniting the fury of the Bai brothers. Their faces flushed with blood-red rage, pride pushing them into a tempest of wrath. They were renowned Muay Thai masters, celebrated far and wide. Even in their homeland, a place steeped in blood and corpses, they were among the elite. If an international bounty were placed on their heads, their individual bounties would easily surpass 500 million. Moreover, united as brothers, their worth would double without difficulty. Yet, this woman before them was merely one of Jiang Yuan's subordinates. At best, she was merely a bodyguard, hardly even a mercenary. Such an obscure figure likely lacked the qualifications for an international bounty, yet she dared to utter such reckless words. "I shall see who ultimately prevails today." The brothers scoffed in disdain. "Do not presume that merely dodging one of our attacks grants you the upper hand." With that, they unleashed a furious roar and charged once more, their speed astonishingly greater than before. In truth, their earlier assault had only been a tentative probe. Lacking even half of their full power, their Muay Thai prowess was far more formidable. Now, as they became earnest, a gleam of unyielding confidence shone in their eyes. This was a lethal technique, a moment of life and death. The brothers' knees and elbows struck like lances, imbued with an unstoppable force. Such a ferocious barrage of blows could render even a 200-pound man unconscious in an instant. Xiao Gua, paralyzed by fear, collapsed to the ground, clutching his head, his face a mask of terror. It was over. They were doomed. Tears threatened to spill as he envisioned the three of them, engulfed in a cacophony of desperate wails. However, moments later, the anticipated cries did not materialize. Instead, a resounding crack echoed throughout the arena, bones shattering with a sinister tone. Imagine the agony of a person's bones being crushed alive. The sheer torment must be unimaginable. The sound of bones fracturing sent chills down one's spine, a visceral reminder of the brutality at play. Jiang Yuan leaned his head on Xiao Guo's shoulder, offering a reassuring smile. "Do not worry. Today, nothing will happen to us. The only ones in peril are them." As if to corroborate his words, Xiaohua gazed in astonishment towards the source of the bone-crushing sound. Following the noise, he beheld the once formidable Bai brothers, who had been utterly vanquished, their elbows and knees mercilessly crushed by a pair of hands. What manner of hands were these? Pale and smooth, they seemed to shimmer with an ethereal glow. Such delicate hands could only belong to a beauty of exquisite grace. Yet, these very hands wielded a terrifying power, shattering the bones of two Muay Thai masters with ease. Gulp! Among the assembled experts, several of lesser strength could not help but swallow hard. All eyes were fixated intently upon Jiang Yuan and his subordinate. Chapter 393. Instantaneous Annihilation. Jiang Yuan's gaze was icy and indifferent as he calmly regarded the assembly of formidable opponents before him. To him, the recent display was akin to witnessing the mundane slaughter of chicken, utterly unremarkable. However, for many of his adversaries, a tempest of panic surged within their hearts. The once audacious and rebellious Bai brothers now stood with beads of cold sweat adorning their foreheads, nearly prostrating themselves on the ground. Their eyes, filled with terror and disbelief, fixated on their own elbows and knees. From the initial excruciating pain, they now felt an overwhelming emptiness and numbness. These joints, the very essence of their being and pride, had been irreparably compromised. Every Muay Thai master has endured relentless training from a tender age, employing local bamboo to mercilessly strike their knees and elbows. This brutal cycle continued until their joints bore the scars of countless injuries, subsequently treated with a time-honored medicinal salve. Such rigorous training, sustained over decades, culminated in the devastating power of their elbow and knee strikes. These joints were their lifelines, having secured them countless accolades and fortunes. There had been those foolish enough to attempt crippling their knees and elbows, yet all had met with swift and brutal retribution. Today, however, in full view of the assembly, a nameless woman had shattered them. Witnessing this, the faces of the nearby experts shifted slightly, revealing expressions tinged with gravity. The Bai brothers were among the upper echelons of their peers. Although many surpassed them in strength, subduing them with such ease was far from a simple task. Even if they were to engage personally, defeating the brothers would not equate to obliterating their bones on the spot. Jiang Yuan was clearly a force to be reckoned with. His seemingly unremarkable subordinate possessed an extraordinary ability, capable of literally crushing the Bai brothers' bones. Could it be that this individual was backed by some mysterious overseas power? Otherwise, how could such a formidable protector be at his side? This mission was not as straightforward as it appeared. Jiang Yuan was anything but ordinary. They decided to abandon the notion of competing for the 100 million bounty. Instead, they resolved to unite and confront Jiang Yuan, for failure today could lead to their collective demise. The experts were genuinely taken aback by the grim fate of the Bai brothers, no longer willing to act recklessly. They prepared to converge and overpower Jiang Yuan. After all, the means were inconsequential as long as the task was accomplished. Not far away, on a small bridge, a couple dressed as students observed the unfolding drama through binoculars. "This Jiang Yuan seems rather capable," the woman remarked, astonished. "His subordinate appears ordinary, yet harbors such astonishing power. To crush the bones of a Muay Thai master in an instant. My word, I have never heard of nor witnessed anything like it in my life." The man shrugged his shoulders and remarked, "It appears that the Patent Office and the Technology Bureau have deemed it necessary to covertly safeguard him, which seems somewhat superfluous." The woman shook her head and responded, "While those two Muay Thai experts are indeed formidable, there lurks an unparalleled master among that group across from us. We should remain poised to act at a moment's notice." She then spoke with a grave expression, "Look swiftly. It seems they are preparing to strike all at once." Chapter 394. Countless champions. Jiang Yuan's gaze was as tranquil as water, showing no sign of panic as a throng of experts surged toward him. In stark contrast, the couple in student attire was taken aback. They were specially assigned by the Patent Office and the Technology Bureau to disguise themselves as protectors of Jiang Yuan, possessing formidable abilities in their own right. Moreover, their perspectives and insights were significantly broadened by their affiliations with the Patent Office and the Technology Bureau. Their intelligence channels were far superior to those of ordinary individuals. To them, the identities of the formidable opponents before them were not shrouded in mystery. However, it was precisely because of this knowledge that they could appreciate the depth of experience and the renown of their adversaries more profoundly than the average person. As this renowned assembly of masters advanced, a sense of trepidation gripped them. Among these luminaries was Liu Boyong, a former psychological expert for the International Criminal Investigation Organization. Not only was he a skilled Taekwondo practitioner, but his prowess in investigation and counter-investigation was formidable. During this operation, he nearly outmaneuvered even them. Then there was Li Changtian, a combat expert who had clinched the Modern Fighting Championship title 4 times in succession. His close-quarters combat skills had reached an extraordinary level, and if all 4 of them were to engage him in unarmed combat, they would likely stand no chance against him. Next was Ouyang Run, a 7-time international Sanda champion, who had transitioned into an international mercenary, once notorious for having a bounty exceeding 1 billion. Lastly, there was Li Mo, the 6-time wrestling champion of East Asia, who had only recently been released from prison, having once wielded his strength with impunity. The 2 protectors exchanged solemn glances, fully prepared to summon their 2 teammates lurking nearby. If the 4 of them acted in unison, they might stand a chance of rescuing Jiang Yuan. They were hailed as the 4 Lotus talents of the younger generation, entrusted with the mission of safeguarding Jiang Yuan. Before considering anything else, they needed to find a way to alert Jiang Yuan to retreat. One teammate communicated through a customized earpiece, emphasizing that their sole mission was his protection, prioritizing his survival above all else, with the fates of others being inconsequential to them. Though unspoken, it was clear that they were willing to forsake the lives of Xiaoguo and the woman. Look, he is not only refusing to retreat, but is advancing. One exclaimed, is he out of his mind? Does he intend to save those 2? They pondered the absurdity of their situation. Even if the 4 of them fought desperately, it seemed they could only ensure Jiang Yuan's safety. Was he truly contemplating some form of shared fate at this juncture? How ludicrous! The 3 others gazed incredulously at Jiang Yuan from a distance, their expressions a mixture of confusion and disbelief. The fierce onslaught of masters approached with the ferocity of a flood, a typhoon, or a tsunami, posing an unmatched threat. Yet, amidst the cataclysmic chaos, Jiang Yuan strolled forward with an air of nonchalance, taking 3 deliberate steps into the maelstrom. The gathering of formidable adversaries was engulfed in a tempest of rage and astonishment, each individual yearning to claim the staggering bounty of 100 billion offered for Jiang Yuan. Yet, he remained utterly unfazed. If Jiang Yuan were not a psychologically troubled individual, he must possess an extraordinary resilience of spirit, rendering him a true enigma. The martial arts expert Li Changtian was the swiftest among them, his eyes brimming with a voracious madness as he extended his right hand towards Jiang Yuan. Crack! In an instant, a white shadow flitted across, and the sound of shattering bones echoed as Li Changtian's wrist was grotesquely twisted, resulting in the complete fracturing of his entire wrist. Chapter 395, Overwhelming Combat Power. The martial arts expert Li Changtian was caught completely off guard, his wrist suddenly engulfed in excruciating pain. Almost immediately, before the eyes of the onlookers, his wrist twisted grotesquely, the sound of bone cracking echoing through the air. Just like the previous brothers from a Bai family, his wrist was crushed on the spot. However, as the crowd scrutinized the scene further, they were taken aback. While the Bai brothers had suffered shattered elbows and knees, they were not in immediate danger of death. In stark contrast, Li Changtian's wrist appeared to be infested with a malignant force, with the destruction extending to his arm, as if it were on the verge of shattering entirely. The severity of the break seemed to escalate, suggesting an impending catastrophe that could obliterate his entire arm. It was at this moment that everyone began to realize a critical truth. The faction of Jiang Yuan had been holding back until now. But from this point forward, the nature of the assault had irrevocably changed. This was a battle that promised bloodshed, a genuine life-or-death struggle. Jiang Yuan chuckled softly, remarking, from the look in your eyes, "It seems my head must be worth quite a fortune. Yet, it is truly unfortunate. Wealth means little without the life to spend it." As if to corroborate his words, 2 more bones shattered violently after Li Changtian, accompanied by heart-wrenching screams that pierced the heavens. The crowd turned their gaze towards the sound, only to discover that, apart from one of Jiang Yuan's subordinates, 2 unfamiliar men had joined him. These men's appearances were unremarkable, yet their eyes emanated a chilling aura that was profoundly unsettling. They possessed a gaze that was cold and stern, reminiscent of divine retribution descending upon humanity, indifferent to the plight of the living. Each of these 2 figures held a person in their grasp, the Sanda champion Ouyang Run and the 6-time wrestling champion Li Mo. These renowned masters were reduced to mere playthings, utterly helpless in their grasp. Li Changtian, Ouyang Run, Li Mo. Cold sweat began to bead on the foreheads of some, their hearts trembling violently. How could 3 of the top 5 among us be dispatched in less than a single round? Today's events are fraught with peril. Those who hired us failed to provide sufficient information. We must flee. This individual is far beyond our capacity to confront. Many acted decisively, their eyes flickering with uncertainty as they contemplated their escape routes. If even the pinnacle warriors among them could not withstand a minute, what hope remained for the rest? Yet, as their gazes fell upon Jiang Yuan, it was as though he could read their thoughts, delivering words that struck terror into their hearts. With a soft sigh, Jiang Yuan lamented, "What a pity, truly a pity. I had offered you a chance. Had you chosen to sever your own arms, today's events would have reached a swift conclusion, considering you were the ones who sought my demise. I have extended to you such a generous option, which could be deemed an act of great mercy on my part. After all, I had the pleasure of reuniting with an old acquaintance today, and my spirits are high. Yet, you have chosen to disregard the opportunity one bestowed upon you. Thus, I can hardly be blamed for the outcome." Chapter 396. The astonished four heroes of Qinglian Jiang Yuan's unremarkable words, unexpectedly heard by a host of masters, struck them like a deluge of frigid water, cascading down with chilling severity. A profound sense of dread surged from the depths of their souls, as one formidable figure after another fell victim to merciless grasp. This fear escalated uncontrollably. At some indefinable moment, a collective instinct to evade the completion of their task took hold, rendering the staggering bounty of billions utterly inconsequential. The singular thought that consumed them was the desperate quest for survival. This place had transformed into a realm steeped in boundless despair, a veritable purgatory. Only those who lived had the right to speak of hope. Flee, escape swiftly. This individual is beyond our reach as a target. Surviving, merely staying alive, was the only success that mattered in this dire situation. Under the overwhelming weight of power, human resolve crumbled like scattered grains of sand. As fear spread like wildfire, the hearts of the crowd scattered in disarray. Jiang Yuan's three subordinates let out cold laughter, embodying the essence of demonic entities as they embarked on their respective hunts. The air was filled with the sounds of anguished cries reverberating through the heavens. Blood rained down, staining the vast azure sky crimson. Everyone was in flight, yet it seemed no one could truly escape. An invisible net enveloped the scene, akin to a web spun by a spider, with the crowd resembling sheep awaiting slaughter. Former international criminal investigation expert Liu Boyong was drenched in cold sweat, trembling in fear as he muttered, "I miscalculated. Someone here possesses tracking and counter-tracking abilities far superior to mine." His murmurs sent ripples of tension through those nearby, nearly snapping the taut strings of their nerves. Even a once-celebrated global investigator could not penetrate Jiang Yuan's intricate surveillance network. Before they could ponder further, the immense pressure enveloped them like a tidal wave. One renowned master after another was subdued with ease, as if they were as fragile as chicks. Gulp. The protectors of Jiang Yuan, the four heroes of Qinglian, widened their eyes in sheer astonishment at the unfolding spectacle. The judo master Zhou Haoran could not withstand a single exchange, effortlessly captured by the man who seized him by the head. Boxing champion Li Mie also fell, caught off guard as his bones were brutally shattered. These individuals ranked among the top 100 mercenaries in the world, yet they were now subjected to such merciless treatment. The three guardians of Jiang Yuan were terrifyingly powerful, yet they possessed no information about these enigmatic figures, not even a vague understanding of their worth. Their combat prowess was truly unparalleled. Originally, they had been assigned to protect Jiang Yuan, perceiving him merely as an important figure, no different from the myriad targets they had safeguarded in the past. Yet at this moment, they found it utterly inconceivable, their eyes wide open as they witnessed the mythical masters fall one by one. The names of these elite mercenaries had long resonated throughout the world, undoubtedly ranking among the pinnacle of combat prowess in this era. In that instant, the gaze of the four heroes of Qinglian towards Jiang Yuan was imbued with an awe akin to that directed at an unfathomable and terrifying creature. Chapter 397. Update on the world rankings. Jiang Yuan quietly observed the unfolding spectacle, akin to watching a magnificent battle on the silver screen. The clouds in the sky swirled with the wind, gradually casting a mysterious shadow over one side of his face. His heart remained undisturbed, exuding an air of calmness and poise, reminiscent of a formidable hero. Even the fingers holding the cigar never trembled, reflecting his profound inner tranquility. One after another, the skilled warriors fell like kites severed from their strings. These renowned masters, who once commanded respect, now lay defeated upon the ground, as the world around them seemed to spin in a disorienting 90-degree turn. their gradually dimming and lifeless eyes fixated on Jiang Yuan, filled with reluctance, regret, and fear. A torrent of complex emotions churned within their throats. At this moment, they realized that Jiang Yuan had scarcely shifted from his original position. Even in the face of grave danger, he had never entertained the notion of retreat. From the very beginning, his intention had been to annihilate this assembly of unparalleled experts. This revealed that Jiang Yuan felt no pressure whatsoever. He possessed unwavering faith in the strength of his subordinates and in himself. Even when confronted with the top 100 mercenaries on the world rankings, despite the glaring disparity in fame and bounty, he remained entirely devoid of stress or panic. In an instant, the mortally wounded masters felt their throats dry, their eyes gradually reddening, as boundless regret surged within them. This man, so deeply concealed, was utterly detestable. We had allowed the 100 billion bounty to cloud our judgment. We never anticipated that so many would meet their demise today. We had been far too arrogant. Alas, there exists no remedy for regret in this world, and they could not choose again. Blood began to stain the ground, the crimson liquid kissing the earth. Xiaohua, terrified, crouched down, trembling hands clutching his head. Everything that had transpired was completely beyond his expectations. Jiang Yuan smiled and patted Xiaohua's shoulder, urging him to remain calm. Yet, he found it impossible to do so. Xiaohua's pupils were in disarray, his voice quivering as he stammered, What? What is happening? Who are they? Seeing Xiaohua in such a state, Jiang Yuan sighed internally, knowing that nothing he said would be of any use. Smiling, he replied, Let us not dwell on that for now. We should leave. Someone will come to handle this. Not only Xiaohua, an ordinary person, but even the 4 heroes of Qinglian were unable to maintain their composure. Their throats felt parched, akin to weary travelers who had traversed a desert for days. Who exactly is Jiang Yuan? Someone mused with a bitter smile. Even the 4 of us might not stand a chance against his 3 subordinates, would we? Indeed, even if we joined forces, we would likely struggle to survive a single round against those 2 men. All 4 were exceptional talents among the younger generation, deserving of their accolades. Yet, in an instant, they witnessed overwhelming power that utterly crushed them, leaving them with a profound sense of frustration that was difficult to articulate. The absolute disparity in strength might perhaps be an insurmountable chasm one cannot traverse throughout their lifetime. Look, the world mercenary rankings have been updated in real time. One individual exclaimed in astonishment. The other 3 remained ensnared in their profound shock until the person cried out once more. They have been removed. Many have been disqualified. Moreover, new names have ascended the ranks. At this moment, the 3 members of the Azure Lotus Quartet, as if awakening from a dream, hastily activated their personal task tablets. Chapter 398. The adorable sister of a close friend, Jiang Yuan, gently sipped a cup of coffee while reassuring the visibly shaken Xiaohua by patting his shoulder. Do not be anxious. All of that is behind us now. They had arrived at Xiaohua's home, an ordinary yet somewhat dilapidated residential building. The air around them was permeated with a desolate scent of aged industry, forming a stark contrast to the vibrant and bustling atmosphere of Tianyu City in the heart of the metropolis, where the lights began to twinkle. Xiaohua's gaze was unfocused, still deeply affected by the tumultuous events they had just experienced. Jiang Yuan, observing his friend's state, could not help but smile wryly, aware that the heart of an ordinary person often struggles to bear such scenes. Brother, what's wrong? You look so pale. Who is this person? A surprised, melodious voice rang out. Following the sound, Jiang Yuan turned to see a drowsy young girl clad in an adorable white rabbit-themed pajama set emerging from a room. She appeared to be around 20 years of age, radiating the youthful essence of a student. Her cherubic face and enchanting almond-shaped eyes captivated any man who laid eyes upon her. Most striking was her perfectly proportioned figure, neither too voluptuous nor too slender, but rather exquisitely balanced. However, her eyes were still half closed, clearly indicating that she had not yet fully awakened. Jiang Yuan's eyes lit up. This vibrant and lovely young lady was undoubtedly Xiaohua's sister, who had often clung to him in her childhood. Just as he was about to introduce himself, Xiaohua's sister, Guo Zichen, suddenly exclaimed, her eyes widening in surprise. In an instant, Jiang Yuan was enveloped by a fragrant breeze as the girl naturally threw herself into his embrace, holding him tightly. Jiang Yuan Gich, you are Jiang Yuan, right? Guo Zichen exclaimed joyfully, burying her adorable head deep in his chest, as if wishing to merge with him entirely. Jiang Yuan, somewhat helpless, affectionately ruffled her hair, chuckling, I am Jiang Yuan, but please let go of me. To his surprise, his words had no effect. Instead, they seemed to provoke her rebellious spirit, as her delicate arms tightened their hold around him. I won't. If I let go of Jiang Yuan Gij, you will leave again. Guo Zichen pouted, her expression one of innocent distress. Jiang Yuan, with a fond smile, gently patted her back, reassuring her, I promise this time, Jiang Yuan Gij is not so easily departing. Will you guarantee it? She asked, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. I guarantee it. Only then did Guo Zichen slightly loosen her grip, yet her lively, fox-like eyes remained fixed on Jiang Yuan, as if fearing he might vanish from her sight at any moment. In her gaze, there was an inexplicable brilliance, one that conveyed both reliance and something more profound. Jiang Yuan had encountered such gazes before. They often appeared in numerous dramas and films, where the male protagonists, typically portrayed as emotionally stoic, remained oblivious to the affections directed their way. Jiang Yuan had always scoffed at this notion. A woman's affection for a man is an emotion that cannot be concealed. Take, for instance, the gaze of Guo Zichen before him, one Jiang Yuan had witnessed in the eyes of many women. Zichen, it has been a while. How have you been lately? Jiang Yuan inquired with a smile. I am well enough. Guo Zichen pouted slightly. However, there are a few boys who persistently cling to me. Despite my indifference towards them, they continue to hover around me, which is quite bothersome. Chapter 399. The respectful visit of the four talents of Qinglian. Jiang Yuan smiled indulgently, remarking, at your age, it is quite delightful to engage in a romance with an exceptional young man. Guo Zichen pouted, her rabbit-eared pajamas drooping slightly. I don't want to, she said, her voice tinged with a sense of grievance. I've vowed since childhood to marry brother Jiang Yuan. I suppose you have forgotten, but I have never let it slip from my memory. Upon hearing this, Jiang Yuan was momentarily taken aback. Childhood promises were often mere child's play, typically dismissed with a laugh in adulthood. Yet, it was unexpected that an innocent girl would hold such a memory dear. Jiang Yuan hesitated for a moment, intending to respond. But then his gaze shifted, and he inquired with a hint of suspicion, what about your parents? Guo Zichen replied, they went to the neighboring city to visit relatives last week. Jiang Yuan's brow furrowed deeply as he said, try to contact them. Guo Zichen looked at him in confusion, but did not question his authority. Instead, she promptly said about executing his command. She picked up her phone, attempting to reach her parents, but found the line inexplicably silent. Meanwhile, a knowing expression crossed Jiang Yuan's face. His suspicions were indeed correct. If Su Tianfei and those influential figures had conspired against me, it was unlikely that their plans were limited to a single scheme. Undoubtedly, the weak link in their strategy lay with these ordinary individuals. Guo Zichen's inability to reach her parents sparked a wave of panic within her. What is happening? She exclaimed anxiously. Could they have encountered some misfortune? What should we do? Beside her, Xiaogu gradually emerged from his daze and hastily suggested, perhaps they're simply busy. Let us wait a while and try contacting them again. However, Jiang Yuan inwardly shook his head, sensing that matters were far from straightforward. At that moment, the doorbell rang. Guo Zichen, bewildered, remarked, at this hour, who could be visiting us? Jiang Yuan instinctively shielded her behind him, but at the same time, a message arrived on his phone. It was a communique from a dedicated number associated with the Technology Bureau. Mr. Jiang, please open the door. We have matters to discuss with you. Jiang Yuan's brow relaxed. It seemed to be a message from allies. Upon opening the door, he was met by four young individuals, both male and female, whose striking appearances and ethereal qualities set them apart from the ordinary. They were none other than the four talents of Qinglian, responsible for Jiang Yuan's protection. Jiang Yuan inquired, what brings you here? One of them replied, Mr. Jiang, we apologize for disturbing you at this late hour, but we require your cooperation in providing some information. Rest assured, everything is based on the principle of your voluntary participation. Jiang Yuan frowned slightly and responded, I can assist you, but first, I need your help with a matter of my own. Please, feel free to issue your commands. The four outstanding figures of Qinglian displayed an attitude of obedience and reverence. Having witnessed the formidable strength of Jiang Yuan's subordinates, they understood that only submission and respect could adequately convey their sentiments towards such a powerful individual. Jiang Yuan replied nonchalantly, assist me in investigating the precise whereabouts of their parents, and you shall be responsible for this matter, ensuring their safety. Chapter 400. The fearful Guo Zichen in the presence of these four individuals. Jiang Yuan's demeanor carried an unmistakable air of authority. For the Science and Technology Bureau had already established a consensus and cooperative relationship with him, judging by the terms of their agreement and mutual understanding. It was evident that Jiang Yuan wielded absolute power over the deployment of these individuals. The four heroes of Qinglian, however, felt no discontent, having witnessed Jiang Yuan's formidable prowess. They felt a deep-seated respect for him. It was no jest that renowned masters, whose fortunes were measured in hundreds of millions, if not billions, were swiftly subdued by Jiang Yuan's entourage. Even if they wished to forget, such a feat was simply impossible. The haunting imagery of those formidable figures' bones being crushed remained vividly etched in their minds. At times, mere authority cannot subdue hearts. It is only through exceptional strength and outstanding character that one can earn genuine compliance and servitude. Thus, the four obediently adhered to Jiang Yuan's directives without hesitation. Soon, initial progress was made. Mr. Jiang, began Li Ru, the sole female among the four heroes of Qinglian, adjusting her glasses as she reported, according to our leads. Guo's parents are likely in the hands of Su Tianfei, the wealthiest man in S City, who holds considerable influence and assets locally. Jiang Yuan furrowed his brow and inquired, "What else? I have heard whispers regarding Su Tianfei, but they are mere rumors. What is crucial now is the precise location of their parents," he continued. Li Ru's expression turned uncertain as she replied, "This will require a thorough examination of surveillance footage from various locations. The quickest we can manage will take an entire night." Jiang Yuan expressed his dissatisfaction. "Is it truly necessary to take that long?" Li Ru explained, given the need to scrutinize a significant volume of footage from the past week. "One night is the utmost effort we can exert." At that moment, Guo Zichen tugged at Jiang Yuan's sleeve, her worry palpable as she asked, "Brother Jiang, who are these people? Will my parents be all right?" Jiang Yuan gently stroked her hand, reassuring her, "Do not worry. As long as I am here, nothing will happen." Guo Zichen nodded, her gaze towards Jiang Yuan imbued with a glimmer of hope. One of the younger men among the four heroes of Qinglian, Zhou Kachuan, interjected with a confident assurance, "Little sister, rest assured, our strength will undoubtedly ensure your parents' safety." Zhou Kachuan, being somewhat frivolous and carefree, could not resist making such a promise upon seeing a beautiful girl like Guo Zichen. Yet Guo Zichen shot him a glare, retorting, "I wasn't talking to you." This was the first time Zhou Kachuan had encountered such rudeness from a girl, leaving him awkwardly chuckling. His background and appearance were among the finest in his peer group, and it was rare for women to treat him so bluntly. Li Ru also cast him a disapproving look, pulling him aside to admonish, "If you do not amend your insufferable habit of being distracted by pretty faces, I may have to collect your remains next time." Zhou Kachuan shrugged nonchalantly, "I understand." "I understand." Li Ru cast him a disdainful glance before turning away to continue with the tasks assigned by Jiang Yuan. Meanwhile, Jiang Yuan found himself confronted with a rather grave issue. "Brother Jiang Yuan, my parents are missing, and I am so frightened." Guo Zichen clung to Jiang Yuan, refusing to leave his side. Jiang Yuan, feeling helpless, realized that the night was already deep, and any preliminary resolution to the matter would not emerge until tomorrow at the earliest. Chapter 401. My sister is in your care as the night deepened and the clock approached midnight. Young Guo Zichen found herself enveloped in a cloak of fear due to the mysterious disappearance of her parents. A sense of insecurity gradually consumed her. Her body trembled restlessly, her face a canvas of pallor and anxiety. Observing her distress, Jiang Yuan instinctively drew her into his embrace, hoping that his warm presence would provide her with a semblance of safety. Indeed, this gesture proved remarkably effective. Guo Zichen closed her eyes, absorbing the warmth of Jiang Yuan's chest, her cheeks flushing as the terror and unease within her began to dissipate slightly. Is this really appropriate? Young Guo thought to voice his concern about their situation as unmarried individuals, yet the sight of his sister's terrified and pale face silenced him. The words lingered on his lips, unspoken. Perhaps in these extraordinary times, extraordinary measures are warranted, he mused, allowing a self-deprecating smile to grace his lips. Moreover, Jiang Yuan may indeed be a suitable choice. After a moment of contemplation, young Guo's eyes brightened, though his thoughts remained unvoiced. After a prolonged period of reassurance, Guo Zichen seemed to awaken from her stupor and, blushing, murmured, "Thank you, Brother Jiang." Jiang Yuan smiled gently, replying, "Silly girl, it's no trouble at all." At that moment, the previously silent young Guo unexpectedly spoke up. "Xiao Yuan, I have something to discuss with you." He gestured for Jiang Yuan to follow him into a small room. Jiang Yuan, puzzled by this sudden request, exchanged glances with young Guo, unsure of the intention behind it. Guo Zichen, scratching her head in confusion, remarked, "What's wrong with my brother? He seems a bit off." With a shake of his head, Jiang Yuan set aside his curiosity and followed Yang Guo into the room. Xiao Yuan, Yang Guo began. To be honest, I am genuinely delighted to see you. Jiang Yuan responded with a smile. I feel the same. However, a twinge of guilt gnawed at Jiang Yuan's heart, as he was aware that the incident surrounding Yang Guo's parents was partly his doing. Had it not been for the actions of others seeking to undermine him, ordinary lives would not have been entangled in such turmoil. Suddenly, Yang Guo made a startling remark. Xiao Yuan, the fact that that woman sought me out must have been orchestrated by you, right? He produced his phone, revealing a series of messages on WeChat from the daughter of a wealthy businessman, expressing her desire to connect. Jiang Yuan paused for a moment before responding with a smile. Shouldn't our primary concern be the whereabouts of your parents? Why bring this up now? Yang Guo replied. While my parents' situation is indeed critical, I am equally worried about my sister. This matter will not be easily resolved, and my greatest wish is for my sister to live a life as ordinary as possible until her natural end. Jiang Yuan listened silently, absorbing Yang Guo's heartfelt aspirations. In truth, you all believe I am unaware, but I have a faint sense that my time may be limited, Yang Guo said somberly. Jiang Yuan, can you promise me that if anything unfortunate were to befall me, my sister Guizichan will be entrusted to your care? A pang of anxiety seized Jiang Yuan's heart, for he had not anticipated that little Guo had already begun to sense the grim reality of his impending fate. He had initially believed that his parents had concealed this truth from him, only to discover that he had, in fact, been acutely aware of it all along. Chapter 402. The astonishment of Su Tianfei. Jiang Yuan gently patted Xiao Guo's shoulder, assuring him, We are brothers. Your sister is akin to my sister. Regardless of what transpires, I shall do everything within my power to ensure her safety. Xiao Guo managed a faint smile, replying, I naturally trust you, but he hesitated for a moment before continuing. Su Tianfei is treacherous, with numerous cunning stratagems at his disposal. He commands a legion of shrewd individuals and is rumored to have clandestine connections with influential figures abroad. Jiang Yuan calmly interjected, and what of it? Today's events serve as a testament. Despite the multitude of clever minds under his command, I have dealt with those self-styled intellectuals decisively. He may have connections with these powerful figures, but should he seek to wield their influence as a shield, I shall uproot them entirely, sending them to the underworld. His words resonated with an indomitable authority, causing Xiao Guo to shudder involuntarily, casting a wary glance at Jiang Yuan. Although Jiang Yuan spoke sparingly and with a tranquil tone, as if recounting an ordinary tale to an old friend, an aura of golden confidence emanated from his eyes, an unwavering assurance in his own power. This unique demeanor inspired genuine trust and even subservience in those who encountered it. Under such an imposing presence, Xiao Guo could not help but feel reassured. With your words, even if misfortune were to befall me, I would find solace in the safety of my sister and family. Jiang Yuan smiled, stating, You will not face any peril. No one shall come to harm. I will ensure your protection. Xiao Guo returned to smile, yet it bore an undercurrent of unspoken bitterness. Life and death are dictated by fate, and wealth is determined by heaven. He alone understood the true state of his declining health. One must contemplate the direst of circumstances, and what weighed most heavily on Xiao Guo's heart was his family. In this moment, having received Jiang Yuan's reassurance, he felt a burden lift from his chest. Meanwhile, Jiang Yuan's gaze was intense. The flickering lights of the room, due to the inadequate power supply of the aging complex, cast a fluctuating glow upon his face, rendering his expression equally variable. Su Tianfei, meanwhile, was indulging in a VR gaming device presented by his subordinates. One of the pinnacle technological entertainment products of the Dragon Country, an acquisition not merely attainable through monetary expenditure, but accessible only through exclusive channels of influence. However, after a brief period of enjoyment, Su Tianfei's mood soured. Matters should have been resolved by now. Why had those individuals not reached out to me? Furrowing his brow, he summoned his secretary and steward. Could it be that they bypassed me entirely, securing a deal directly with those foreign dignitaries and obtaining funds without my knowledge? The thought plunged Su Tianfei's spirits into disarray. To him, dealing with Jiang Yuan was a trivial matter. The only matter he truly cared about was how much profit he could derive from the situation, and how much of the benefits he could retain for himself. Generally speaking, in such dual-sided ventures, he could manage to reap advantages from both ends, and if he were particularly ruthless, he could indulge extravagantly. However, should the other party come to their senses in a timely manner and establish communication with the opposing side, he would find himself with nothing at all. The prolonged silence regarding the progress of the matter instilled a sense of unease within him. Meanwhile, Su Tianfei could not have anticipated that while he remained engrossed in the realm of VR gaming, an unforeseen piece of news would strike him like a thunderclap. What? A failure? Su Tianfei listened in utter astonishment to the report from his subordinate. Chapter 403. Su Tianfei's reluctance. Su Tianfei was initially engrossed in a virtual reality device, immersed in a game called Lovelive, a platform for virtual social interactions. He had long grown weary of the three-dimensional women. However, the latest trend of virtual beauties, infused with the concept of the metaverse, piqued his interest significantly. Recently, he had become particularly enamored with several highly acclaimed virtual streamers within the game. These virtual streamers were unequivocally regarded as goddesses, boasting millions of followers. Even the most popular contemporary female celebrities would find it challenging to rival their fan base. Not only did they inherit the traditional qualities of captivating singers and dancers, but they also possessed an astute understanding of the male psyche, exuding an irresistible allure. Beneath their virtual facades, it was rumored that each was a breathtaking beauty in reality. These virtual streamers quickly became the object of desire for many affluent individuals, sparking discussions about who would be the first to win their affections. However, just as he fervently contemplated strategies to secure these virtual streamers and arrange offline meetings, the news of the complete failure of the mission against Jiang Yuan struck him like a bolt from the blue, rudely jolting him back to reality. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Su Tianfei exclaimed frantically. How many people did we invite? We amassed a contingent of experts with a fortune exceeding hundreds of billions, all bested by 3 bodyguards whose worth is unknown. His eyes bulged like saucers as he tightly gripped the lapels of his secretary's suit. I demand an explanation. Su Tianfei Veyobith. Did someone embezzle our compensation? Or did those fools turn on each other in a frenzy over Jiang Yuan's billion-dollar bounty? He was accustomed to projecting his own thoughts onto others, having grown used to the corruption and petty dealings of his daily life. Thus, upon hearing of the mission's failure, his first instinct was to suspect embezzlement or that the operatives had weakened their collective strength through infighting. Yet, the harsh reality was unforgiving. The elderly secretary, resembling a mourner, lowered his gaze in silence. He understood Su Tianfei's character all too well. During moments of heightened emotion, any word spoken would be utterly disregarded. After approximately half an hour, as Su Tianfei's bloodshot eyes and hoarse voice regained a semblance of vitality, he finally inquired, "What on earth happened?" We dispatched over 20 internationally renowned mercenaries with bounties in the hundreds of billions. Is it truly impossible to subdue Jiang Yuan? The secretary took a deep breath, his expression grave and earnest, as he replied, Jiang Yuan is exceptionally formidable, and according to our intelligence operatives, the global mercenary rankings have undergone significant upheaval due to this incident. Our deployment was entirely decimated, and their names have been completely erased from the records. In their stead, 3 formidable bodyguards of Jiang Yuan emerged, their rankings so astonishingly high that they could almost rival the personal guards of those esteemed foreign dignitaries. Su Tianfei furrowed his brow, his heart seemingly gripped tightly by an invisible hand. Reluctantly, he lamented, "Are we truly powerless against this Jiang Yuan?" Chapter 404. The old secretary's disdain for Jiang Yuan. The old secretary pondered for a considerable time before he spoke, in terms of martial prowess. We may indeed not be his match. However, to achieve our objectives, it is crucial to capitalize on our strengths while avoiding confrontation with his weaknesses. Only then can we fulfill our mission. Upon hearing this, Su Tianfei felt a sudden clarity and pressed further. So you mean to say we should not confront him head-on? Do we have alternative strategies at our disposal? The old secretary smiled enigmatically, his gaze cold as ice. In truth, I have long prepared a contingency for this plan. The parents of one of Jiang Yuan's close friends have already been discreetly apprehended by us. This is a trump card that must be played. I initially devised it as a precaution, never expecting it would prove necessary. Su Tianfei was instantly overcome with exhilaration. As expected of you. When you previously warned me of Jiang Yuan's formidable nature, I did not take it seriously. I never imagined you had prepared a backup plan. With this card in hand, we can certainly exploit it to our advantage. The old secretary chuckled. Having followed Master Su for many years, I have absorbed some wisdom along the way. Now, as I accompany you, it is only right that I offer my utmost assistance. Su Tianfei nadi thoughtfully. His father had been a renowned figure in his youth, and although his influence had waned in the current generation, he still possessed a legacy that was not to be underestimated. The once mighty still had remnants of strength. If my brother Su Tianzhong, who is abroad, were to intervene, Jiang Yuan would likely not survive a day, he mused, reminiscing about his brother. Unfortunately, due to issues surrounding their father's will, it seemed unlikely that he would return soon. Su Tianfei's brother was truly a dragon among men. Even the most formidable figures had praised him and sent him overseas to expand their enterprises. In his ambitious vision, limiting oneself to domestic ventures in an increasingly globalized world would be tantamount to self-imposed stagnation. Su Tianfei understood well that in terms of talent and capability, the so-called richest man in S City could not compare to his brother. At that moment, a visitor from Tianyu City arrived. Zhang Ying-er, the esteemed daughter of that city, whose interests were not particularly aligned with theirs. Su Tianfei furrowed his brow. What brings her here? Is she seeking to discuss a partnership? The old secretary chuckled knowingly, resembling a cunning old fox. Young master, Zhang Ying-er is also renowned for her beauty in our locale. Have you not always held an interest in her? Su Tianfei shook his head. My brother has already set his sights on her, awaiting his return to claim her once he wraps up his affairs. No matter how audacious I may be, I would not dare contest him for a woman. The old secretary laughed lightly, his expression dismissive. Young master, should we resolve the issue with Jiang Yuan and secure the support of that influential figure? Even your brother would think twice before challenging you. Is merely a woman. How could he possibly misjudge the situation and complicate matters for you? Upon hearing this, Su Tianfei's gaze immediately intensified. Indeed, once he dealt with Jiang Yuan, he would be able to connect with that influential figure, rendering him unafraid of his elder brother. All beautiful women would be within his grasp. I entrust the matter of Jiang Yuan entirely to you, Su Tianfei commanded. You must not let me down. The old secretary replied with a profound smile, exuding confidence. I have already devised a foolproof plan. Jiang Yuan shall undoubtedly become our prey. Chapter 405. The anticipation of the four talents of Qing Lian at this moment. Jiang Yuan was blissfully unaware of the intricate plans that the Su family had been devising against him. As dawn broke, he found himself sitting at the edge of his bed, cradling his head in his hands. Last night, Guizichin had been unable to sleep, her mind consumed with worry for her parents. The more she struggled to find rest, the more her anxiety about their safety intensified. Caught in this vicious cycle, she had no choice but to engage Jiang Yuan in a late-night conversation. Nestling her anxious little head deep into Jiang Yuan's chest, she sought solace in the warmth radiating from him, which provided her with a modicum of comfort. Brother, Jiang Yuan, I'm so scared and can't sleep. Could you tell me a story? Of course. What would you like to hear? I would love to hear a romantic tale. Well, once, I encountered a couple on the bus. The woman was seated while the man stood beside her, idly playing with her hair out of boredom. She teased him, saying, Are you petting a dog? Ah, it does seem a bit like that, he replied. But I don't have a dog at home. I only want to take care of you. Upon hearing this, though it was merely a typical cheesy line, Guizichin felt as if she were savoring honey while nestled in Jiang Yuan's embrace, her eyes inadvertently reflecting the tender emotions of a young girl. That is quite romantic, she remarked. Indeed, that is how girls perceive it, he responded, eliciting a few bashful giggles from her. Yet little did they know, the young man concluded with, raising pigs for wealth. Guizichin couldn't help but burst into laughter, realizing that Jiang Yuan had intentionally shared this jest to alleviate her worries and anxieties. However, sleep continued to elude her, and in her insomnia, she held onto Jiang Yuan, engaging him in conversation until the wee hours of the night. Their dialogue spanned a vast array of topics, ranging from childhood anecdotes to the events of recent years. Covering personal interests and family backgrounds, they conversed almost the entire night, finally managing to doze off for a brief respite in the early morning hours. Thus, when dawn arrived, Jiang Yuan, sporting dark circles reminiscent of a panda, gazed at her with a tender smile. This little one. He chuckled, feeling both amused and helpless. Meanwhile, the four talents of Qing Lian, equally burdened by their own heavy eyelids, bore expressions that hinted at their determination to reap the fruits of victory. They approached Jiang Yuan to report their findings. After a quick freshening up, he settled in the living room, adopting an authoritative stance as he listened to their briefing. Through meticulous consolidation of our surveillance and video records, along with our deductions and hypotheses, we believe that the Guo couple is likely concealed in the southern suburban forests of City S. Upon hearing their conclusion, Jiang Yuan issued a decisive command. Then we must act immediately. However, the four talents hesitated, expressing their concerns. Proceeding recklessly may not be the wisest course of action. Perhaps we should wait and request reinforcements from above. Jiang Yuan shook his head resolutely. Opportunities are fleeting, they do not return. If you have managed to uncover this information once, there is no guarantee you will be able to do so again if they change their location. The time required for your request for assistance may be considerable. Therefore, it would be more prudent to take decisive action and resolve this incident in one fell swoop. Jiang Yuan, with unwavering resolve, effectively set the course for this matter. The four talents of Qing Lian exchanged glances, sharing a resigned smile, as they recognized their diminished influence and the futility of persuading Jiang Yuan. Moreover, having witnessed Jiang Yuan's formidable prowess, they found themselves, albeit vaguely, beginning to anticipate the remarkable performances that Jiang Yuan and his companions might exhibit in the future. Chapter 406. Direct Assault. A gentle breeze swept across the land, carrying with it a palpable sense of peril. Jiang Yuan squinted slightly as he perused the documents in his hands, which detailed the specifics of the current incident. This intelligence had been procured through every possible connection by the four prodigies of Qing Lian earlier that morning. At this moment, Jiang Yuan sat within a luxurious Rolls-Royce, accompanied by Guo Zichen, who sat nervously in the passenger seat, his face betraying a mixture of concern and doubt. "Brother Jiang, there are only a few of us. Can we truly rescue my parents?" Guo Zichen expressed his unease. In response, Jiang Yuan set aside the documents and smiled, saying, "If it were something achievable by ordinary individuals, why would I need to intervene?" His implication was evident. He was brimming with self-assurance regarding his abilities. However, this only intensified Guo Zichen's apprehension. Those who regard themselves as superior to others often find themselves facing dire consequences. Two of the four prodigies were also seated in the vehicle, and their thoughts mirrored Guo Zichen's sentiments. Jiang Yuan's confidence seemed excessive. Although he had recently made a significant impression by reshuffling the ranks of renowned mercenaries globally, the world was vast and filled with exceptional talents. How could he guarantee that he would not encounter a truly formidable opponent? "I have never witnessed such obstinacy. He seems to dismiss the wisdom and strength of the world, believing none can rival him. I fear this time, Jiang Yuan will inevitably face a grave setback," they mused. Alas, we suggested he wait for us to report to our superiors and deploy additional skilled fighters. Yet he outright declined, clearly underestimating us. If he suffers a true loss this time, it will be of his own making. The four prodigies were caught in a web of conflicting emotions. While they held high expectations for Jiang Yuan's capabilities, they could not help but secretly wish to see him stumble when he rejected their offer for reinforcements. Believing he could resolve everything on his own, such is human nature. When one observes another's arrogance and ease, there's often a desire to witness their fall, to learn a lesson. However, the other two members of the four prodigies placed greater emphasis on their responsibilities. Their fundamental task was to ensure Jiang Yuan's safety, which was paramount. This mission was personally assigned by their mentor, the leader of the Shadow Group, who had painstakingly nurtured the four of them for nearly 15 years. Thus, these two had arrived early in the southern outskirts of S-City to conduct reconnaissance. As Jiang Yuan's vehicle approached the vicinity of their destination, they were well prepared and promptly dialed his number. "Jiang Yuan, we have gathered confidential intelligence. 7 key points." Upon receiving the call, Jiang Yuan listened intently as they relayed their findings. Simultaneously, he received another call. "Mr. Jiang, I have uncovered confidential intelligence, 49 points in total." With a slight acknowledgement, he recognized it was from his bodyguard. According to the previous instructions from the system, this bodyguard is a former internationally renowned criminal investigation expert, possessing formidable abilities in tracking and counter-tracking. What? 49 items? Upon hearing this, the quartet of the Green Lotus was taken aback in unison. Jiang Yuan deliberately switched the phone to speaker mode, intending to share certain intelligence for everyone's awareness. However, upon learning this information, the quartet of the Green Lotus was once again profoundly shocked. Chapter 407. The peril ahead. Jiang Yuan cast a fleeting glance at the two among the four heroes of Qing Lian, extending his finger to caution. "It is imperative that you both proceed to the hospital immediately. Otherwise, you may face life-threatening circumstances." The individuals he indicated were the very two who had taken the lead in reconnaissance earlier that morning. Upon hearing Jiang Yuan's words, the duo appeared momentarily stunned, their pupils flickering violently as a powerful wave of dizziness and nausea surged through their minds, akin to being mercilessly stirred by a stick within their skulls. Grasping their throats, they found it nearly impossible to suppress the overwhelming physiological urge to bash their heads against the wall. "What on earth is happening? Why are you suddenly bleeding from the nose?" Xiao Guo exclaimed in disbelief. "What has transpired?" The other two members of the four heroes of Qinglian were equally astonished, yet they acted decisively, promptly contacting an ambulance. At that moment, their astonishment towards Jiang Yuan intensified. If their suspicions were correct, the pair must have encountered an unforeseen accident during their reconnaissance, perhaps inadvertently triggering some hidden trap and inhaling an invisible, colorless toxin. It was highly plausible. However, given that they were experts tasked specifically with scouting, how could they have fallen prey so easily? This operation might be far more complicated than anticipated. There could very well be formidable adversaries among them. But how did Jiang Yuan discern that they had been compromised? Jiang Yuan glanced at the two, noting their expressions of sheer horror, akin to that of primitive man encountering fire for the first time. Pray tell, one of them swallowed hard and inquired, "How did you ascertain their condition?" Jiang Yuan replied nonchalantly, "Just moments ago, I received a report encompassing 49 pieces of information, one of which indicated that your two teammates had fallen into a trap." He then added, "If you're feeling apprehensive, you need not accompany me." Without a moment's hesitation, the two declared, "Absolutely not. Our mission is to ensure your protection. We cannot leave until that task is fulfilled." Guizichin leaned closer to Jiang Yuan, whispering, "Brother Jiang Yuan, it seems they genuinely wish to safeguard you. Perhaps we should allow them to join us. They might prove useful." Jiang Yuan regarded the two with a discerning gaze, but refrained from further comment. Meanwhile, Xiaoguo was eager to rescue his parents. Yet the dreadful image of the two earlier, bleeding and violently retching, haunted him. He couldn't help but ask, "Jiang Yuan, they won't be in any life-threatening danger, will they?" Jiang Yuan answered coolly, "Yes, they are." Xiaoguo responded, "That's good. Wait, what did you say? Life-threatening?" Not only was he taken aback, but the others were equally alarmed, questioning, "They merely seem a bit dizzy and nauseous. How can that be life-threatening?" Jiang Yuan shook his head and said, "There is nothing to explain. It is a highly lethal toxin. Dizziness and nausea are merely initial symptoms. To ensure safety, it would be best for you to stay behind." "Is it really life-threatening?" Xiaoguo, trembling with fear, hesitated momentarily. In contrast, Guizichin, displaying the audacity of youth, resolutely declared, "I must go. After all, it is my brother Jiang Yuan who is on a mission to rescue my parents. How could I allow you to face this peril alone?" Chapter 408. The Bliss of Ignorance. Jiang Yuan walked steadily through the suburban forest, initially anticipating that this endeavor would entail some complications, or at the very least, some challenges. To his surprise, however, the situation unfolded in a manner far less intricate than he had envisioned. The circumstances were remarkably straightforward, perhaps even overly so. Xiaoguo and Guizichin's parents were quickly located in a wooden cabin a mere 600 meters away. "Mom and Dad, how wonderful!" Guizichin exclaimed, tears of joy streaming down her face as she leaped into her parents' embrace. Yet, their parents appeared somewhat disoriented, likely due to prolonged starvation, rendering them almost incapable of movement. Xiaoguo, unable to contain his emotions, felt a swell of joy at the sight of his parents' miraculous survival, an impulse to shout and celebrate overwhelming him. Is this truly how it resolves? The Qinglian duo exchanged bewildered glances. "We have just entered this cursed place, and even two among us have succumbed to a peculiar poison and been hospitalized. Yet, the hostages have been resolved so swiftly?" Jiang Yuan furrowed his brow and inquired, "Are their parents also afflicted by the poison, hence their confusion?" The Qinglian duo conducted a thorough examination before shaking their heads in denial. "No, they are likely just in a state of shock from not having eaten for an extended period." After a moment of contemplation, Jiang Yuan commanded, "You two escort them out. I will seek out the Su family. They should not have departed from here yet." The Qinglian duo's expressions shifted dramatically, and they firmly objected. "That is out of the question. Our primary duty is to protect you. How can we abandon you to protect others? We cannot do that." Hearing their resolute stance, Jiang Yuan nodded and instructed his two bodyguards to ensure the safety of Xiaoguo's family as they departed. Although he possessed only 3 elite bodyguards, he believed that the remaining one, in conjunction with the Qinglian duo, would be more than sufficient to handle the Su family. Based on prior reconnaissance intelligence, the Su family was expected to be about 1,000 meters ahead. Jiang Yuan resolved to act decisively and rush to confront Su Tianfei directly. However, upon arriving at his destination after more than 10 minutes, he was met only by an elderly gentleman awaiting him. "Jiang Yuan, greetings," the elder said, holding a cup of coffee, beginning his self-introduction. "I am the secretary to Mr. Su, and I have been waiting for you for quite some time." He then stood and gestured to a nearby seat, inviting Jiang Yuan to sit. With a practiced hand, he ground coffee beans and brewed a steaming cup. presenting it to Jiang Yuan as if he were an old friend. Jiang Yuan remained expressionless and inquired, "Where is Su Tianfei? Is he hiding away like a turtle?" The old secretary, seemingly unfazed, chuckled heartily and replied, "I can handle matters on my own. There is no need to trouble Mr. Su." Jiang Yuan responded with a non-committal "oh," his demeanor unreadable. The old secretary chuckled in a tone reminiscent of conversing with a longtime friend. "I once adored a certain female star, renowned as the epitome of youthful beauty, who had never engaged in romantic relationships." Jiang Yuan tilted his head in curiosity and inquired, "A female star?" The secretary continued, "I would listen to every song she sang, watch every film she starred in, and purchase her autobiography without fail. However, one day, it was revealed that she had secretly married and given birth long ago. Since then, I could no longer bear to enjoy her songs, her films, or her autobiography. Yet she remained unchanged. It was merely my perception that had shifted." Jiang Yuan scoffed. "Are you implying that ignorance is, in fact, a form of happiness?" Chapter 409. The enemy's hidden cards. Jiang Yuan raised an eyebrow, seemingly disdainful of such naive notions of happiness. The old secretary burst into hearty laughter, and then his gnarled hands lightly clapped together. The sound of applause echoed, embodying both appreciation and a hint of mockery, lingering in the air. "Engaging in conversation with an intelligent individual is indeed a pleasure," the old secretary remarked, as he finished his cup of coffee. "Alas, had you not offended those you should not have, I might have spared your life today, allowing you to become my loyal canine, guarding my household in your later years." At this, the bodyguard beside Jiang Yuan retorted scornfully, "You old dog, having spent a lifetime guarding doors for others, have you not left a single heir to carry on your legacy, resorting instead to cultivating loyal hounds?" The old secretary cast a cold glance at him, saying, "I am conversing with Jiang Yuan. Do you truly believe you have the right to interject?" As soon as he finished speaking, the bodyguard sneered. "Your alliance must be on some poison-wielding mercenary, I presume. Let me guess his worth. 1 billion? 20 billion? The old secretary chuckled darkly, preparing to respond, when suddenly the door creaked open, revealing a young man. "Young master, what brings you back?" the old secretary exclaimed in surprise. The young man was none other than Su Tianfei. "This Jiang Yuan is utterly oblivious. I must witness his downfall with my own eyes." Su Tianfei grinned wickedly. "It is time to close the net. Let him see." The old secretary smirked coldly, his eyes filled with ignorant derision. "Jiang Yuan, do you truly believe I would allow you to triumph so easily without any preparation? Do you think all of this is truly within your grasp?" Jiang Yuan could only respond with a non-committal "oh." Almost immediately, an icy chill enveloped him as two hands, sharp as blades, were poised at his throat. It was as if a single misstep would result in a swift decapitation. The owners of these hands were none other than the Twin Lotus Guardians. "So it is you?" Jiang Yuan chuckled. "Twin Lotus Guardians, you too are the traitors." The old secretary and Su Tianfei erupted into triumphant laughter, taunting, "Do you now comprehend the terrifying figures you are up against? Your life is forfeit. Anyone can be bought." "Apologies, Jiang Yuan. We do not wish to resort to violence unless absolutely necessary." The Twin Lotus Guardians chuckled sinisterly. Originally, the Twin Lotus Guardians were 4 loyal servants, devoted to their duties until death. Yet, unexpectedly, they had been secretly corrupted and turned traitor. Jiang Yuan sighed softly. "So it turns out that money truly holds power, able to corrupt even people like you." At this remark, the Twin Lotus Guardians revealed chilling smiles, saying, "Whether money is indeed omnipotent, we cannot say, but our futures lie firmly in your hands." Jiang Yuan expressed his curiosity with a soft exclamation, inquiring, "I am rather intrigued. In your eyes, what is the worth of my life?" The Twin Lotus heroes responded with a chilling laugh, saying, "The living possess hope, hence their curiosity. As for you, a mere specter, there is no need for such knowledge." Jiang Yuan sighed and replied, "Indeed, the deceased need not dwell on such matters. Since you are self-aware, I shall facilitate your journey, sparing us the need for further discourse." Chapter 410. Taking matters into his own hands, Jiang Yuan's calm words were astonishing, making it hard to believe he was in peril. Rather, he resembled a king assured of victory. Su Tianfei scoffed, "Do not feign mystery any longer. Your greatest support has been diminished by 2/3 through our cleverness. Now only one remains. And do you think our numbers consist of just these few? You cannot even begin to fathom it. Blame yourself for being oblivious to the times. You possess a prescription for that heart ailment, yet refuse to collaborate with us." At this point, Jiang Yuan began to grasp their true intentions. Their ultimate goal was his patent for the heart disease remedy. Even the nation's foremost medical experts could not suppress their greed upon encountering such a groundbreaking technology, which left both the science and patent bureaus drooling, not to mention the foreign capitalists who valued wealth above life itself. In fact, numerous international medical companies had previously sought collaboration with Jiang Yuan, all of which he had rejected outright. It seemed that the origins and triggers of the S-City incident stemmed from his possession of this treasure-like patent. If he sought to maximize his profits, Jiang Yuan could easily partner with them, leveraging the channels built by foreign medical companies over the years to ensure the drug could be sold at exorbitant prices. Yet, he was resolute in his refusal to ally with such individuals. This was not merely because they hailed from foreign capital. A deeper reason lay in their almost heartless rules governing drug development. Capital has always pursued profit. When a drug's development reaches a crossroads, one path leading to a cure, the other to a treatment requiring multiple courses, those capitalists, blinded by greed, would unhesitatingly choose the latter. After all, in the eyes of these avaricious foreign pharmaceutical companies, curing a patient equated to losing a cash cow. Once in the realm of continuous treatment, patients would be compelled to purchase overpriced medications, creating an insatiable financial abyss for the impoverished. In Jiang Yuan's view, these foreign drug development firms treated this endeavor as mere business. And those engaged in business never rise without profit. The suffering of patients, the trials of families, and the pressures of economic hardship were never considerations for such businessmen. Jiang Yuan certainly appreciated wealth, yet he sought to earn it within the bounds of humanity, ethically and legally. Typically, the arrangement would be simple. I provide healthcare, you provide funding, a mutually beneficial scenario. However, should this invaluable patent fall into the hands of foreign capital, the consequences could be dire. Malicious price inflation and the squeezing of ordinary patients' living space were fundamental tactics of these businessmen. From the outset, Jiang Yuan had positioned himself in opposition to them. This incident was not solely a case of an innocent person suffering due to possessing a treasure. It also stemmed from the insatiable greed of humanity. Driven by an insatiable greed for wealth, capitalists remain indifferent to the suffering of patients, unwilling to improve even the slightest aspect of the drug development process. It is this very avarice that compels them to cunningly seize the patents held by Jiang Yuan. Consequently, Jiang Yuan has resolved not to delegate this task to others, but to take matters into his own hands, intent on delivering a severe retribution to those blinded by their lust for profit. Perfect. A smile crept across Jiang Yuan's face. It has been quite some time since I last engaged directly, and I am eager to test my own abilities, to ascertain whether the sword of my spirit remains as sharp as ever. Chapter 411. The snow car toxin still putting up a brave front? Su tianfei is native. It appears you are truly undeterred until you face the consequences. You won't shed a tear until you see the coffin. Do you genuinely believe I would come here without complete confidence, merely to witness your downfall? As his words lingered in the air, Jiang Yuan felt a slight dizziness wash over him, his eyelids inexplicably growing heavy as though they bore the weight of hundreds of pounds. A sensation he had never experienced before, akin to having gone 3 days and nights without rest. In this room, you've already made your preparations, Jiang Yuan remarked coldly. He understood that his adversaries had likely set a meticulous trap, for this particular toxin was colorless, odorless, and tasteless, yet it had stealthily invaded his body, gradually taking effect. His strength would be reduced to merely 1/10 or 1/12 of its usual capacity. The sole remaining bodyguard beside Jiang Yuan wore a pallid expression, alternating between shades of green and white, clearly faring no better than his employer. Rest assured, once you are gone, we have ample means to seize your company, including the patent for the heart disease medication. Su Tianfei's words dripped with greed and madness. He could hardly contain his anticipation, envisioning the successive steps of appropriating Jiang Yuan's assets, even going so far as to claim Jiang Yuan's women for himself. Yet, Jiang Yuan seemed impervious to the taunts, beginning to stretch and loosen his muscles, producing a series of cracking sounds akin to popping beans. He then turned to his bodyguard, instructing, "Keep count of their numbers. Ensure not a single one escapes. Give it up. Stop pretending to be formidable. Do you think you have any chance of turning the tables?" Su Tianfei laughed heartily. "The reason the Su family can dominate S-City is due to our secret weapon, a pharmaceutical expert whose inventions are beyond your imagination." What Su Tianfei did not disclose was that this was a specially formulated snow car toxin. In general, the ability to create a colorless, odorless, and tasteless substance is exceedingly rare. This toxin was among them. Such toxins are commonly found in deep-sea organisms and possess an insidious corrosive effect on human nerves. The modified snow card toxin is particularly potent. Even those mercenaries who have undergone rigorous mental training and possess formidable resilience can scarcely resist its debilitating effects, rendering them incapable of fighting back. Thus, Su Tianfei was filled with absolute confidence that he would successfully subdue Jiang Yuan, fulfilling the mission entrusted to him by a powerful figure. Jiang Yuan inhaled deeply, his chest swelling slightly, and then, with a sudden thrust of his foot, he charged towards Su Tianfei. Yet, standing resolutely in his path were the twin guardians of Qinglian, steadfastly flanking Su Tianfei like sentinels. Good lackeys, Jiang Yuan scoffed coldly. I shall commence with you, traitors. Since ancient times, the most despised role on the battlefield has been that of the traitor, individuals devoid of loyalty and righteousness, deserving of their fate. Yet upon hearing Jiang Yuan's words, the twin heroes of Qinglian displayed no trace of shame. Instead, they erupted into boisterous laughter. Jiang Yuan, having succumbed to the poison of Shiwaka, resembled a sickly cat, posing no threat to them whatsoever. However, their laughter was abruptly silenced within mere seconds. Chapter 412. A violent outburst. Jiang Yuan's cold gaze was electrifying, a blend of exhilaration intertwined with a hint of madness. He had long been deprived of physical exertion, eager to savor the vitality that comes with movement. Moreover, since arriving in S City, a nebulous emotion had been brewing deep within him, one that he could neither articulate nor comprehend. Xiao Guo had saved his life in the past. Had it not been for his heroic act during that catastrophic fire, Jiang Yuan would likely have perished in the ashes, thus missing out on all he had today. Logically, such a brother would repay the kindness by treating his parents as his own. Yet, fate had dealt a cruel hand. Xiao Guo was burdened with a severe cardiac condition, an ailment far too intricate to be remedied by mere medication. Unless one could locate a couple of esteemed medical experts of advanced age, it was unlikely that Xiao Guo would survive for many more years. Essentially, his brother's life flickered like a candle in the wind, poised to extinguish at any moment. This reality lodged itself in Jiang Yuan's throat like a thorn, provoking an incessant irritability whenever he pondered it. Finding medical experts of such caliber was no simple task. They were often shrouded in layers of protection. These individuals had reached a stature coveted by countries worldwide. Securing even one would equate to monopolizing a significant segment of medical resources, an economic advantage that drew the eager eyes of major corporations. Consequently, such top-tier medical professionals were meticulously guarded, their identities seldom revealed to the public domain. Jiang Yuan was acutely aware of these circumstances, and the weight of his pent-up emotions pressed heavily upon him, urging a cathartic release. After a prolonged period of internal turmoil, today presented the perfect opportunity for him to unleash his emotions. With a surge of enthusiasm, he was keen to test the formidable prowess of the divine combat skills he had once acquired. The Qinglian duo, distinguished figures in their own right, had been selected by the Technology Bureau for their exceptional talents. Even on a global scale, they were coveted by various factions. As Jiang Yuan engaged them, the Qinglian duo, initially laughing heartily, soon found themselves incapacitated before they could even comprehend his movements. It felt as though a colossal fishbone had lodged itself in their throats. Jiang Yuan's right hand, akin to a chain from the depths of hell, seized their throats with unyielding ferocity. From start to finish, they scarcely glimpsed his form before becoming helpless prey. How is this possible? They croaked, their voices now resembling that of a quacking duck. The two could hardly fathom that, after the toxin from snow had invaded Jiang Yuan's body, his bodily functions should have dwindled to a mere fraction, less than 1/10. How could your toxin possibly have found a cure? Su Tianfei's expression stiffened. Even we have yet to discover any specific antidote, yet you claim to possess one? An antidote? Such a thing is entirely unnecessary, Jiang Yuan retorted with a provocative smile. To deal with insignificant figures like you, a mere tenth of my capabilities is more than sufficient. Chapter 413. The Edict of Annihilation. Jiang Yuan's words, imbued with unyielding authority, were delivered in an unexpectedly calm tone. As he surveyed the surroundings with a commanding gaze, an aura reminiscent of a contemporary hero began to emanate from him, instilling a palpable sense of trepidation among the concealed masters present. Some of the more cautious among them even found themselves hesitating, pondering whether to take action. In this meticulously orchestrated assassination plot against Jiang Yuan, Su Tianfei had exhausted all his resources. Not only had he assembled a larger contingent than during the previous attempt, but the caliber of his operatives had also escalated significantly. The budget for this mercenary endeavor was, astonishingly, threefold that of the last. Su Tianfei had not only utilized the funds provided by a powerful benefactor, but had also invested a considerable portion of his own wealth into this operation. Should he succeed in eliminating Jiang Yuan, he would align with his benefactor's ambitions, thus seizing the invaluable patent for a heart disease cure, akin to acquiring a perpetual money-printing machine. With such high stakes, Su Tianfei felt a surge of confidence that compelled him to personally attend the scene. Yet at this moment, his smile had frozen into a mask of stone, resembling a petrified statue. According to his intelligence, Jiang Yuan's primary reliance lay in his three formidable bodyguards. Thus, under the counsel of his seasoned secretary, he had devised a cunning strategy, employing Jiang Yuan's close friend's parents as bait, augmented by the treachery of the Qinglian twin heroes. It seemed an inescapable trap. However, he had grossly underestimated one critical aspect: the combat prowess of Jiang Yuan himself, which surpassed that of his three guards by a significant margin. This was evident even when Jiang Yuan was nearly incapacitated by the effects of the Shiuaka toxin, which had diminished his strength by almost 90%. Should Jiang Yuan regain full functionality, the likelihood of successfully executing the assassination plan would dwindle to nothing, and the Su family would face a catastrophic reckoning. In a moment of desperation, Su Tianfei called out loudly, "Are you all not going to take action? You are all participants in this endeavor, each of you bound by our contract. If Jiang Yuan survives today, and this list of names is revealed, I fear there will be no sanctuary for any of you, either in heaven or on earth." As expected, his words galvanized many of the skilled fighters into resolve. Kill. If Jiang Yuan does not perish today, he will seek retribution, and even our families will not escape unscathed. Let us unite. No matter his abilities, how can he possibly contend against so many of us? The mission was paramount. The rewards for this edict of annihilation were exceedingly generous. Together, let us vanquish Jiang Yuan. As Jiang Yuan listened to the uproar around him, a flicker of exhilaration ignited in his eyes. With a vigorous motion of his arms, the Qinglian twin heroes collapsed to the ground like two lifeless dogs. These two individuals, renowned for their fame, were unexpectedly found wanting in true prowess. They had yet to showcase their genuine abilities, yet they were already ensnared by their own hands, the fate of life and death resting solely upon their own grasp. Such ease in their predicament rendered the experience somewhat unsatisfying. In that moment, Jiang Yuan let out a jubilant cheer and then, like a mighty dragon emerging from the sea, surged directly into the dense throng of people. Much like a farmer harvesting rice in autumn, the celebrated masters fell before him as if they were mere chives being cut down. Chapter 414. Dominance. Jiang Yuan surged into the flock like a ravenous wolf, unrestrainedly unleashing the tempest of emotions that surged within him. In this moment, slaughter was the ultimate truth. Blood was the most exquisite delicacy. Su Tianfei crouched in the grass nearby, trembling with fear, nearly paralyzed by terror. This desolate forest on the outskirts of S City was a deliberate choice, intended for the discreet resolution of Jiang Yuan's affairs, unnoticed and untraceable. Yet, he had never anticipated that this very location would greatly facilitate Jiang Yuan's unrestrained display of prowess. In any other setting, Jiang Yuan might have exhibited some caution, for the modern metropolis was replete with surveillance cameras and watchful eyes. However, in this remote area, even numerous radio waves struggled to penetrate, and satellite imagery frequently faltered. This meant that should Su Tianfei falter here, he would likely be uprooted by Jiang Yuan, reduced to a mere prisoner. The once arrogant smirk on Su Tianfei's lips now trembled as he gazed in astonishment at Jiang Yuan, who resembled an ancient war god, effortlessly dispatching the mercenaries he had painstakingly hired. How could this be? Su Tianfei was bewildered. Not only did Jiang Yuan appear unfazed, but he seemed to revel in the conflict. Indeed, Jiang Yuan had not exerted his full strength. He was completely immersed in the visceral thrill of close-quarters combat. Those who had not experienced it could scarcely comprehend the exhilarating rush of engaging in such physical confrontation within a modern city. The sensation of flesh meeting flesh was enough to ignite the primal instincts within any man. Jiang Yuan's eyes glowed with a faint crimson hue, a devilish grin twisting at his lips as he savored the euphoria of the fight. While he found immense pleasure in the encounter, his adversaries felt as though they were mute individuals forced to swallow bitter gall, unable to articulate their suffering. They were legendary masters of the martial arts, possessing formidable skills and true mastery. Yet at this moment, facing Jiang Yuan, they perceive him not as a mere human, but as an untamable behemoth. His overwhelming strength and vitality evoking the sensation of standing on the precipice of an active volcano. Someone, throat parched and filled with despair, murmured, "What manner of creature is this? Such terrifying power, merely grazing against his fist, leaves my skin feeling as though it might split apart. Why does he show no signs of fatigue? Instead, he appears invigorated by the battle. At this rate, we shall all perish here." A palpable sense of panic began to permeate the arena, and the tide of battle had clearly turned. Jiang Yuan toyed with these mercenaries, treating them as mere playthings, mercilessly dismantling their defenses. They were driven back relentlessly, their hearts gripped by fear, beads of cold sweat forming as they faced their impending doom. As they gradually came to a realization, they understood that Jiang Yuan, even in the midst of their confrontation, retained a considerable reserve of strength. His true potential was profound and far-reaching. It was evident that the current state of battle merely represented the tip of the iceberg of Jiang Yuan's capabilities. The old secretary was equally taken aback, his eyes filled with incredulity, as he murmured, "Young master, the situation has changed. Perhaps we should leave immediately and devise another plan." Su Tianfei nodded repeatedly, awakening from his stupor, but in the next moment, both were doused with a chilling sense of dread that swept over them. Chapter 415. Redemption. With a piercing roar, Jiang Yuan's voice resonated powerfully, akin to a thunderclap echoing in the hearts of everyone present. Waves of anxiety, dread, and dizziness flooded their minds. Before Su Tianfei could fully comprehend the situation, Jiang Yuan had already surged forward like an arrow released from a bow, pinning him firmly to the ground amidst a throng of terrified elites. To capture a thief, first seize the king. Jiang Yuan's fingers resembled 5 sharp blades, poised to effortlessly pierce Su Tianfei's throat at a moment's notice. The battlefield was in a state of constant flux, and none could have anticipated that merely 10 minutes prior, the arrogant Su Tianfei would suddenly find his life hanging by a thread in the hands of Jiang Yuan. The old secretary was paralyzed with fear, cursing inwardly, "Madman, how can Jiang Yuan be so ruthless? He has single-handedly subdued 100 billion worth of mercenaries." He seethed with resentment and impotent fury towards these mercenaries, berating their ineptitude. Yet, deep down, reason reminded him that these men were not entirely worthless. They had merely encountered a formidable foe. The pressing question remained: how could they save the young master from Jiang Yuan's grasp? "Please, no, don't kill me," Su Tianfei stammered, his teeth chattering and tongue tying in fear. "Let me live. I will do anything you desire." "Now you plead for mercy?" Jiang Yuan sneered. "What reason do you give me to spare your life? You have already crossed my line. If you lack sufficient worth, you must die." In Jiang Yuan's life, 2 things held paramount importance: his friends and his nation. Yet, this unrepentant Su Tianfei had brazenly provoked his ire. His dear friend Xiao Guo had shown him immense loyalty. And here was Su Tianfei, threatening him by taking Xiao Guo's parents hostage. On his beloved homeland, this man conspired with foreigners to endanger his life. With these thoughts, Jiang Yuan's murderous intent intensified, nearly overflowing from his very being. As Su Tianfei perceived the growing ferocity in Jiang Yuan's gaze, a chill ran down his spine, prompting an even deeper sense of panic. He hastily knelt, begging, "I possess valuable assets to offer you. I can redeem myself." "Valuable assets?" Jiang Yuan replied, unimpressed. "Do you think I lack such things?" He pinched his fingers together, ready to execute Su Tianfei with the precision of a giant pair of scissors. Su Tianfei, trembling with fear, mustered all his strength to declare, "It's not just money or possessions. The Su family harbors many secrets and connections, individuals who will bring you boundless profits in the future. I am willing to offer these for my redemption." The old secretary's expression shifted dramatically at this revelation, his voice rising in a threatening tone. "Jiang Yuan, are you aware that our Su family has a young master abroad? He is truly a dragon among men. Should you dare to harm the young master, or compel him to surrender anything to you, you shall surely come to regret it." Jiang Yuan cast a glance at him, and then smiled at Su Tianfei, saying, "Tell your dog to silence itself. It is rather bothersome to my ears." In a life-and-death situation, Su Tianfei understood that if he provoked Jiang Yuan's ire, it would spell disaster for him. He quickly shouted, "Old fool, be quiet. Is my life worth less than those items?" The elderly secretary's expression stiffened, and he couldn't help but sigh inwardly. The master had instructed before his passing that those items are the very foundation of our Su family. How could they be handed over to Jiang Yuan? Chapter 416. Not a single one left behind at this moment. Jiang Yuan held Su Tianfei's life in his grasp, yet he was in no hurry to extinguish it. After all, he could end it at any given moment. Deep within, he found himself intrigued by the so-called secrets of the Su family. Logically speaking, the scale of S-City was rather modest. In the grand tapestry of Long Country, numerous cities surpassed it in strength and stature. However, the enigmatic figure they spoke of, who wielded immense power and authority, had singularly chosen the Su family as his focus, embarking on a series of collaborations with them. Might it be that the Su family was not as simple as it appeared? Jiang Yuan mused. Perhaps it would be prudent to first ascertain what the secrets and imprisoned individuals were before making a decision. With this thought in mind, Jiang Yuan gestured for his bodyguard to approach and retrieved a portable rope from his possession. In an instant, Su Tianfei's hands and feet were ensnared with a unique binding technique, rendering him utterly motionless. The elderly secretary exclaimed furiously, "Show some respect for our young master." Jiang Yuan cast him a sidelong glance and replied with a smirk, "Respect? Such a term is reserved for those of equal standing. You two are merely my captives, devoid of any right to discuss respect with me." Upon uttering these words, the elderly secretary found himself similarly bound, stripped of his freedom. Meanwhile, the multitude of ambitious individuals drawn by the exorbitant bounty began to shift their gazes, their steps quietly retreating. They understood that this mission had met with failure. Yet as long as one breathes, there is always a chance for resurgence. They were resolute in not risking their lives against Jiang Yuan for the sake of mere coin, and thus began plotting their escape routes. What perplexed them, however, was that Jiang Yuan's attention was no longer on them. He seemed utterly indifferent to the fate of these men. Perhaps he was so captivated by the Su family's assets that he could not spare a thought for us. Excellent. Since we sought to exploit him for our gain and the prospect of profit had vanished, it would be wise to depart. Now is an opportune moment. Should we linger until he regains his awareness? How could we expect him to overlook those who sought his life? This assembly of affluent mercenaries had resigned themselves to the realization that the task of eliminating Jiang Yuan was unattainable. Self-preservation had become paramount. Just moments ago, each had been resolute in their determination to claim Jiang Yuan's life. Had he not possessed formidable strength, he would have surely met a gruesome fate, becoming a mere stepping stone for others to seize vast wealth. This had evolved into an irreconcilable blood feud. Thus, at this juncture, each individual began to deliberate on how to disperse like birds and beasts, yearning for escape. Unbeknownst to them, two concealed figures had already silently taken up positions in the shadows. Should anyone falter and attempt to slip away, these two shadows would follow closely, ensuring that even a muffled cry would not escape their lips, rendering them akin to kites severed from their strings, falling to the ground. These two figures, of course, were Jiang Yuan's other two bodyguards. They moved with remarkable speed, having successfully completed the task assigned by Jiang Yuan, now returning to his side. In the shadows, Jiang Yuan issued a chilling command. All those who had participated in the mission and sought his life were to be met with an unwavering strategy, merciless execution. The sky, unbeknownst to anyone, had become engulfed in ominous clouds, with flashes of lightning roaring through the tumultuous layers. Jiang Yuan's three bodyguards loomed like grim reapers, their cold gazes fixated on the mercenaries present. They understood that none of this group would escape unscathed today. Meanwhile, Jiang Yuan playfully patted Su Tianfei's cheek and remarked, "Come, let me see what treasures your Su family possesses. Should I find them unsatisfactory, I fear you may find it impossible to secure your release. I trust you are aware of the consequences." Chapter 417. The treasures of the Su family. Jiang Yuan's hands were warm, yet when they gently struck Su Tianfei's face, it sent a chill through him akin to the icy grip of sub-zero temperatures. He was acutely aware that if Jiang Yuan were to feel displeased, his fingers could effortlessly pierce through his heart. What does death feel like? Perhaps no one truly wishes to uncover the answer to such a question. At least, Su Tianfei had no desire to know, not even daring to entertain the thought of death itself. The faint yet pungent scent of blood wafting around him only intensified his sense of dread and unease. His instincts told him that the source of this sanguine aroma stemmed from the mercenaries who had recently sought Jiang Yuan's life. Su Tianfei clasped his hands tightly, resolute in his inner vow that he would fulfill any request Jiang Yuan might make, no matter how demanding. The sole priority was to preserve his own life. For that purpose, he would be willing to barter anything. Life is paramount. It is everything. The old secretary also caught a whiff of the almost palpable scent of blood. He sighed heavily, reflecting on Jiang Yuan's meticulous nature and clear sense of right and wrong. Today, it seemed that anyone who had offended him would likely meet a grim fate. Jiang Yuan was not one to indulge in senseless slaughter, nor did he revel in bloodshed. However, if he failed to eliminate those assassins who had plotted against him, he would risk being looked down upon by the world. His foundation was still in its infancy, requiring both reputation and authority. If he could not even deal with a few mercenaries, he would find himself disregarded upon stepping onto the international stage. This slaughter was, for both personal and public reasons, unavoidable. Jiang Yuan was no saint, nor would he harbor any compassion for his foes. Sympathy was a precious sentiment reserved for his allies. When it came to enemies, he would employ nothing but stern measures. However, at this moment, Jiang Yuan's thoughts were not focused on those adversaries. After vanquishing Su Tianfei, his attention naturally shifted to the treasures of the Su family. He summoned his private jet and included Yao Wenwan in his plans, escorting Su Tianfei and another. He swiftly boarded the aircraft, heading towards the location of the Su family's treasures, an undisclosed office building in City S. On board the plane, Yao Wenwan brought forth some good news. Oh, after Xiao Yin took over the new project at Yuanmei Company, there's been new progress, and we can now tentatively set a release timeline. Jiang Yuan remarked with a smile of satisfaction. The matters concerning Yuanmei were entrusted to Xiao Yin, serving as a litmus test for her capabilities. It appeared she was indeed proving her worth. With her big eyes sparkling with curiosity, Yao Wenwan asked, "Boss, where are we headed?" Jiang Yuan patted Su Tianfei's shoulder and replied with a smile, "We have good friends who are going to deliver us some gifts. We are on our way to collect them." A moment later, with a smile that danced between mirth and mischief, he added, "Don't you think so?" Su Tianfei suddenly displayed a smile that was more grotesque than tears, forcing a laugh as he said, "Of course, Mr. Jiang, as you are new here, I must extend my hospitality." He took a deep breath and continued, "In fact, our Su family hold a monopoly on the unique Matsutake mushroom business in S-City. If you do not mind, I could arrange for your associates to take over this enterprise." His desperation was palpable, willing to relinquish a business that had been passed down through generations. However, Jiang Yuan remained unfazed. He was not an inexperienced youth easily swayed by such overtures. Chapter 418. Settling the harvest, Jiang Yuan wore a smile that was not quite a smile, refraining from picking up the conversation. The monopolized Matsutake mushroom business was undoubtedly a source of envy for many in City S. The annual profits it generated were sufficient to entice countless individuals. Had it been another person, they would likely be overjoyed to accept Su Tianfei as proposal at this moment. However, Jiang Yuan, possessing a measure of social acumen, understood that the initial offers often held the least significance. Should he reveal any sign of satisfaction, it would naturally lead the other party to believe he was easily manipulated. Su Tianfei, feeling a surge of anxiety at Jiang Yuan's ambiguous expression, sensed a prickling discomfort at the back of his neck. The last shred of hope he harbored was swiftly extinguished, compelling him to speak candidly. In truth, this trivial business hardly warranted Jiang Shao's attention. Su Tianfei, driven by a desperate desire for survival, quickly altered his tone. Although our Su family may not be renowned over the past few decades, we have quietly cultivated a vast network of informants throughout the Dragon Kingdom. I dare say our intelligence network ranks among the finest globally. If you seek any information, I can provide it. A glimmer of insight flashed in Jiang Yuan's eyes as he realized that Su Tianfei, in his trepidation, had inadvertently revealed his hand. During this trip to City S, the other party had astutely made contact with Xiao Gua and his family, laying the groundwork in advance. Clearly, the Su family's intelligence network possessed unique advantages. This might very well be one of the reasons why that influential figure had chosen to ally with them. However, such an extensive network of information must be backed by substantial financial resources. Maintaining operations for a year would require an astronomical sum, certainly not achievable without hundreds of millions. This raised further questions. While the Su family may dominate in City S, it was evident they had not reached such a scale. Unless, Jiang Yuan speculated, could it be that the entire rise of the Su family, including their intelligence network, was secretly funded by that powerful individual? The Su family might simply be a pawn in someone else's game. The more he pondered, the more alarmed he became. If his conjecture held any truth, it suggested that the Su family was merely a puppet, with a true mastermind seeking to create turmoil within the Dragon Kingdom through this facade. Meanwhile, Su Tianfei's old secretary felt a sinking sensation in his heart. He discerned that Jiang Yuan's intellect was remarkable and had likely uncovered some of their secrets. Jiang Yuan, that is not something you can meddle with, the old secretary said earnestly. If you release me and the young master now, we can let bygones be bygones. However, should you persist in your attempts to seize what belongs to the Su family, you may find yourself in an irretrievable predicament. Jiang Yuan lifted his gaze slightly. Glancing at the old secretary before responding, your old dog has quite the audacity. I'm beginning to feel quite displeased. Su Tianfei, tell me, how do you intend to compensate for my emotional distress? Su Tianfei hurriedly exclaimed, strike him, then stuff a cloth into his mouth. Jiang Yuan nodded, signaling that he could proceed. After a moment of hesitation, Su Tianfei promptly complied, personally stuffing a rag into the old secretary's mouth. As he carried out the act, he added, in truth, our Su family has been keeping a certain individual hidden away, rumored to possess a significant secret. Young Master Jiang, I wonder if this piques your interest? Upon hearing this, the old secretary's body trembled violently with excitement. Chapter 419. The compromise of Su Tianfei. Jiang Yuan's eyes sparkled with interest as he inquired, please elaborate. His instinctive intuition indicated that the individual capable of stirring such excitement in this unruly old secretary was undoubtedly entwined with the core secrets of the Su family. It was noteworthy that even when caught in Jiang Yuan's clutches, the old secretary maintained an air of indifference, seemingly dismissive of Jiang Yuan's authority. However, despite having his mouth tightly gagged, the old secretary's eyes began to betray an overwhelming urgency, his body quivering violently like a mouse caught by its tail, exuding palpable anxiety. There was a fear that this involved a monumental secret, one that could determine the very fate of the Su family. Su Tianfei, too, felt a twinge of apprehension. After his words escaped his lips, he regretted his impulsiveness, berating himself for his cowardice in revealing such a trump card out of sheer desperation for survival. Yet, Jiang Yuan, well aware of the adage to strike while the iron is hot, offered no respite for contemplation and thundered, speak. The thunderous command sent a tremor through Su Tianfei's heart. He hesitated, acutely aware that his life hung precariously in Jiang Yuan's hands, where life and death could hinge on a mere thought. Reluctantly, he decided against further concealment and slowly divulged. The individual in question was entrusted to our Su family 3 years ago. It is said that his background is immensely formidable, enough to instill fear. However, due to a momentary lapse, he was schemed against and imprisoned. Our intelligence operations are exceptional, and thus we are the safest guardians for him. Jiang Yuan's curiosity intensified, his eyes gleaming with intrigue. Who entrusted him to you? Specifically, who is it? He pressed. Su Tianfei, somewhat bewildered, shook his head. This matter was handled by my secretary and my brother. At that time, I had not yet assumed control of the Su family affairs. My brother is currently abroad, and only the old secretary possesses knowledge of this matter. He furtively glanced at the old secretary, signaling him to clarify everything to avoid incurring Jiang Yuan's wrath. With a light chuckle, Jiang Yuan gestured for Su Tianfei to remove the gag from the old secretary's mouth, which he promptly complied with. Yet, once the gag was removed, the old secretary remained resolutely silent. After a prolonged silence, he sighed, Jiang Yuan, you may choose to end my life, but I implore you, there are many matters beyond your reach. The one imprisoned by our Su family must under no circumstances be released. Jiang Yuan patted his shoulder and replied with a smile. What if you refuse to speak? Su Tianfei, come, take me to see this elder. The old secretary's expression darkened, and he exclaimed, young master, you must not. Su Tianfei hesitated, murmuring, we are at a critical juncture. Our lives depend on others, leaving us with no power to choose. Upon witnessing his demeanor, Jiang Yuan could not help but sigh inwardly. Many individuals possess immeasurable wealth, yet their instinctual fear of death is often no less pronounced than that of the average person. Frequently, the disparity between individuals may merely stem from the circumstances of their birth. As for the deeply ingrained human tendencies towards self-interest and the aversion to harm, it seems that each person is fundamentally similar in this regard. Chapter 420. The elder with a significant identity, Jiang Yuan, stood quietly beside a white wall adorned with a password lock. Su Tianfei, resembling a humble servant, stood respectfully behind him. Upon receiving Jiang Yuan's permission, he stepped forward to enter the password, and the white wall gradually opened, revealing the world within. Young Master Jiang, this is the destination you sought, Su Tianfei remarked as he led the way. The individual's health is quite poor, so we have amassed a considerable amount of medical resources here to prevent any unforeseen incidents. Jiang Yuan cast a glance around. This was a privately constructed underground medical facility. The interior expansively remarkable, comparable in size to approximately 13 football fields combined. Within this space, no fewer than 30 female nurses stood ready, while roughly 12 middle-aged doctors, both men and women, took turns at their posts. In addition to this personnel configuration, the facility housed a dedicated pharmacy for storing medications and a warehouse for emergency surgical equipment, among others. The extensive variety and quantity of medications, along with the state-of-the-art medical technology and the impressive credentials of the doctors and nurses, rendered this private medical setup akin to a small hospital, lavishly designed for personal use. However, the fact that such an abundance of medical resources was allocated for a single individual indicated that this person's identity was indeed extraordinary. Jiang Yuan pondered silently. Why was he imprisoned here, and why were so many medical resources allocated to him, as if fearing for his life? Could it be that this person harbored some secret? Or perhaps his own identity was of great significance? Jiang Yuan grew increasingly intrigued and promptly instructed Su Tianfei to take him to meet the imprisoned elder. In the distance, the old secretary could only watch helplessly as their figures receded, disappearing completely around a corner. He felt utterly powerless to alter the outcome of this unfolding scenario. The tide had turned, and it seemed inevitable that one of the future titans of this realm would bear the name Jiang Yuan. The old secretary forced a bitter smile, his heart a tumult of emotions. In an instant, he felt as if he had aged decades, his vitality deflated like a punctured balloon. Under Su Tianfei's guidance, Jiang Yuan soon arrived at the innermost medical room. Keep a close watch on Su Tianfei and wait here, Jiang Yuan instructed his bodyguards. I shall return shortly. The bodyguards complied, securing Su Tianfei as if he were bound by 3 sets of shackles. Jiang Yuan then pushed open the door, re-entering the 5 password locks as per Su Tianfei's earlier instructions before finally gaining access to the room. It was an exceedingly spacious and serene ward. The furnishings were minimalistic, seemingly adhering to a philosophy of simplicity, containing only a go board, a writing desk, a few chairs, and a hospital bed. At this moment, an elderly man, his hair and beard completely white, sat quietly before the chessboard, deeply engrossed in contemplation. The intrusion of Jiang Yuan, a stranger, did not affect him in the slightest. He did not even cast a glance at Jiang Yuan, fully absorbed in pondering the outcome of the game. As Jiang Yuan approached closer, he could discern the features of the elderly man's visage more clearly, and he was immediately taken aback, revealing an expression of incredulity. Chapter 421. The match. Jiang Yuan's heart skipped a beat as he realized the old man's face was strikingly familiar, as if he had encountered him not long ago. His remarkable memory soon recalled that Zhou Ziyang had entrusted him with an invitation to a private banquet. This esteemed affair, hosted by an illustrious international consortium, operated under an exclusive invitation-only policy, accessible only to a select few distinguished individuals from specific regions. The invitation was transferable, which allowed Zhou Ziyang to recognize Jiang Yuan's potential and willingly bestow upon him this invaluable pass to represent Long Country and garner honor. Behind this invitation were the visages of 5 renowned founders of international conglomerates, one of which bore an uncanny resemblance to the elderly man before Jiang Yuan. In an instant, it was as if countless threads had woven together in his mind, and he began to speculate that this elderly gentleman might indeed be a clandestine master of an international consortium, imprisoned here due to treachery. Clenching his fists, Jiang Yuan pondered the staggering implications of such an identity. As his thoughts raced, the elderly man, seemingly nearing his 70s, finally lifted his gaze to meet Jiang Yuan's. "Do you play chess?" he asked with a warm smile, akin to that of a grandfather looking upon his young grandson. Jiang Yuan nodded. He possessed a solid understanding of Go and had recently unraveled a complex problem with the aid of AI, which led him to encounter a mysterious woman. The old man's eyes sparkled with interest as he promptly set up a Go board, offering Jiang Yuan an appropriate position. "Come, let's play a game. The quality of one's character is reflected in their play. I only converse with those of good character." He gestured for Jiang Yuan to make his move. With a flash of insight, Jiang Yuan recognized that the old man was assessing him. He picked up a black stone and began their match. As they played, the old man casually remarked, "Young man, you are quite impressive. At such a tender age, you have managed to handle the Su family with such finesse. Your future appears boundless." Jiang Yuan smiled and replied, "What makes you say that, elder? I have yet to reveal anything." The old man chuckled softly, saying, "This place is the very heart of the Su family. It is rare to see even a mouse here, let alone someone like you." They monitor me constantly through surveillance. As he spoke, he gestured toward a camera nestled in the upper right corner of the room. Yet, you have entered here as if invisible, indicating that the Su family's influence has waned. It seems I have fallen into your hands. Jiang Yuan smiled gently, responding, Elder, why do you say that? Given that the Su family has committed numerous wrongs by imprisoning you here, it is only just that I act to liberate you. The old man regarded him deeply, yet remained silent. In the midst of their light-hearted banter, the chessboard had already begun to reveal a preliminary outcome. Jiang Yuan's strategy appeared gentle, lacking any haste to launch an offensive. Yet, with each careful move, he advanced with the steadiness of a mountain. With every gesture, the pressure mounted, surging like waves, each one cresting higher than the last. Chapter 422. I wish to marry my granddaughter to you, Jiang Yuan, wielding the black pieces with elegance and composure, neither resorting to reckless aggression nor fixating on immediate gains or losses, maintained a firm grip on the overarching strategy. His skills in chess were already commendable, and recent events had bestowed upon him newfound insights, leading to considerable advancement in his abilities. The venerable elder, despite his advanced years, wore a perpetual smile, resembling one who gazes upon a remarkably admired younger counterpart. Though his demeanor was disarmingly benign, his strategic approach was as profound and unfathomable as the ocean, rendering it exceedingly difficult to predict. The situation on the chessboard grew increasingly tense, yet neither player rushed. Time flowed like a fleeting shadow. After approximately an hour of intense competition, the victor remained elusive. The elder chuckled softly and remarked, Young man, as the saying goes, the quality of one's chess reflects one's character. I possess a modest understanding of the principles of chessmanship, and from our recent engagement, I have formed a preliminary judgment. Would you care to hear it? Jiang Yuan inclined his head respectfully, saying, I would be most grateful for your insights. Please enlighten me. The elder continued with a smile. Your style of play may appear aggressive, embodying the essence of the 7 killings, yet there is a remarkable balance of righteousness within. Clearly, it is the 7 killings inviting nourishment, a fate most rare and precious indeed. Jiang Yuan, displaying humility, replied, The notions of fate and destiny are indeed nebulous, and I do not presume to claim such a distinction. However, if you possess such remarkable perception, why remain confined here? Would it not be more delightful to re-enter the world stage alongside me? Upon hearing this, the elder erupted into hearty laughter. Young one, do you truly believe I am the sort to engage in deception and charlatanry, merely spouting nonsense? Jiang Yuan shook his head, asserting, I would not presume to think so. Yet, deep within, Jiang Yuan harbored skepticism towards the concept of fate and destiny. After all, human destiny seemed far too ethereal. If it could be easily calculated, it would be trivialized. The elder, seemingly attuned to Jiang Yuan's thoughts, paused his hand mid-motion. Young man, do you suppose I lack the ability to discern an individual's character through their chessmanship? Remember, character shapes one's destiny. And do you think I am imprisoned here against my will? The elder chuckled. If I desired to leave, I could do so at any moment. Jiang Yuan felt a jolt in his heart, instinctively sensing that this elder harbored secrets beyond his comprehension. Then why do you choose to remain here instead of departing? He inquired. With a mysterious smile, the elder replied, I have lived long enough, grown weary of the world's intrigues and machinations. I find solace in enjoying my twilight years here. However, since someone with your unique fate has arrived, it signifies a profound connection between us. If you are willing to assist me in a small endeavor, I shall bestow upon you the most treasured repository of my life. What say you? Jiang Yuan responded with measured calm. If you have a request, please articulate it directly. There is no need to entice me with treasures. In the eyes of the venerable elder, a glimmer of admiration flickered as he remarked, even in the face of considerable gain, your composure remains unshaken. You truly embody the destiny of one marked by the 7 killings. Jiang Yuan inquired, What exactly do you desire, esteemed sir? The elder chuckled mischievously, his gaze brimming with cunning, and replied, I wish for you to wed my granddaughter, and, in doing so, inherit my vast fortune of 100 billion. Would you be amenable to such a proposition? Chapter 423. The madman's ramblings. Jiang Yuan cast a sidelong glance at the elderly man. His words seemed rather frivolous. To marry your granddaughter, and simultaneously inherit your vast fortune? Although Jiang Yuan suspected that the old man's claims might hold some truth, the signs indicated that his status was indeed remarkable. The mere fact that his likeness could be found among the founders of one of the world's foremost financial conglomerates spoke volumes about his identity. Had it been anyone else, they might have eagerly acquiesced at this moment. Yet, Jiang Yuan understood that there was likely more to this than met the eye. It could not possibly be so straightforward. "Old sir, is it possible that your granddaughter is in peril and requires my assistance?" Jiang Yuan pondered before speaking. "Or perhaps she has adversaries that need to be dealt with, for which you seek my help?" His mind remained calm, for he believed that there were no free lunches in this world. The enticing allure of sweet benefits lay before him, yet it was accompanied by significant risks and challenges. This seemingly light-hearted elder might be attempting to deceive him into eliminating enemies for his granddaughter. Jiang Yuan had encountered similar ploys before, with ample examples surrounding him. The old man regarded Jiang Yuan with increased admiration, saying, "To drink without getting drunk is the highest skill, and to be unblinded by beauty is the mark of a hero. Young man, seeing your composed and steady temperament, unperturbed by immediate gains, I am even more at ease in trusting my granddaughter to you." Jiang Yuan reiterated, "Please answer my question." The elder smiled mysteriously and replied, "As the saying goes, one must be willing to give in order to gain. I assure you of one thing. If you possess the ability to win my granddaughter's heart, then my billion-dollar fortune shall be willingly bestowed upon you. The condition is that you must aid her in overcoming the siege of the 5 major international conglomerates." The 5 conglomerates. Upon hearing this, Jiang Yuan could not help but recall the invitation bearing the images of the 5 founders, emblematic of the world's most opulent financial entities. This was indeed a symbol of wealth and power at its zenith. The astonishing nature of the old man's jest was that he was proposing Jiang Yuan take on these top-tier conglomerates as adversaries. Jiang Yuan contemplated briefly before responding. "May I inquire why your granddaughter has chosen to oppose these 5 conglomerates?" The elderly man erupted into hearty laughter, his mirth unrestrained as he exclaimed, "In my youth, I too was a madman, dismissing others entirely and accumulating numerous enemies. I fear this may now become a source of vexation for my granddaughter. Moreover, as the saying goes, a commoner is innocent, but possessing treasures brings troubles. Since my granddaughter has inherited my legacy, she has become the center of attention and must inevitably confront various pressures. Yet, I worry she is merely a delicate woman. Even with my support, she may struggle to bear such immense burdens. Thus, I seek your assistance, or, perhaps more straightforwardly, I suggest you simply marry her." Jiang Yuan, perplexed, remarked, "But you must have been trapped here for quite some time. How could you possibly know whether your granddaughter has a boyfriend or is already married?" The old man cast a curious glance at Jiang Yuan and replied straightforwardly, "Even if she has a boyfriend, what of it? If they break up, then she becomes yours. Moreover, if she is married, a divorce would simply pave the way for her to wed you." He patted Jiang Yuan on the shoulder and laughed heartily, saying, "Young man, if you desire something, seize it. If you cannot, then devise a means to take it. Women, like wealth, are to be pursued." Hearing this, Jiang Yuan couldn't help but feel a wave of exasperation. The old man's views were exceedingly libertine, which surely explained the multitude of enemies he had amassed. Chapter 424. A candid discourse. Jiang Yuan, faced with this pivotal choice, did not rush to respond. At times, the potential rewards may indeed be substantial. Yet one must also weigh the costs and risks involved. Confronting the 5 major international financial conglomerates and engaging in a direct confrontation is not something any rational individual would willingly embroil themselves in unless absolutely necessary. Noticing Jiang Yuan's silence, the elderly man continued, "My granddaughter is truly a paragon of beauty, a rare gem that could captivate any heart. Since she turned 12, she has been the object of affection for numerous exceptionally qualified suitors, yet none have caught her fancy. Moreover, her grace is unparalleled. Almost every man who encounters her finds himself utterly enchanted." Jiang Yuan cast a sidelong glance at the old man, who seemed to grow increasingly frivolous in his discourse, fervently advocating for his granddaughter in a manner that suggested he might be a charlatan. Jiang Yuan smiled and politely declined, saying, "I fear my fortunes are too meager to merit such a blessing. Esteemed sir, perhaps you should seek someone more deserving. In the realm of human interaction, connections are paramount." Even if Jiang Yuan felt a flicker of interest at that moment, he would typically choose to reject first and bide his time before acting. This was the wisdom he had garnered over many years. The venerable elder, with a gleam in his eye, countered, "Even if you disregard beauty, as a man of the Dragon Nation, should you not hold our national pride in high regard?" Jiang Yuan's gaze shifted, and he inquired, "What does this have to do with honor?" The old man snorted and retorted, "In my youth, I amassed great renown abroad and accumulated vast wealth, intending to return these assets to serve my homeland. Yet, I was besieged by foreign adversaries, leading to my ultimate downfall, with much of my fortune divided among those who conspired against me. Disheartened, I entrusted the remnants to my granddaughter, seeking a tranquil retirement, only to unexpectedly encounter someone as uniquely fated as you. Young man, he continued, ever since my failure, I fear those foreigners have been mocking our dragon nation for lacking talent. Do you not feel a surge of patriotic fervor, a desire to vindicate our people? Jiang Yuan pondered. Though your sentiments resonate, are you truly prepared to bestow your granddaughter upon me merely because of my unique fate? Is it not somewhat trivial to place such significant matters in my hands? The elderly gentleman replied earnestly, my ancestors passed down a profound understanding of destiny, and I can discern with striking accuracy. Your fate, marked by the 7 Killers sign, suggests you possess the potential for greatness. Otherwise, I would not entrust you with such a vital mission. In both public and personal matters, I believe you have no grounds for refusal. After a moment of contemplation, Jiang Yuan finally responded with a gentle smile. Esteemed sir, we are both astute individuals. There is no need for veiled language between us. You entice me with promises of benefits and glory, all in an effort to secure my assistance for your granddaughter's ambitions. However, regarding the notion of marrying her and inheriting your assets, I suspect that even if I were to fulfill my obligations, you may not honor those commitments. The old man's admiration grew more intense, yet his withered hand subtly clenched. He never anticipated that this remarkably youthful individual, Jiang Yuan, could so calmly see through everything, even instilling within him a sense of psychological pressure. The old man gave a self-deprecating smile and remarked, So, you are refusing then? Jiang Yuan shook his head, smiling lightly as he replied, No, I am willing to accept your request, but you two must agree to one condition of mine. Chapter 425. A promise worth 1,000 gold. The words of Jiang Yuan resonated like celestial music, instantly invigorating the old man. Whatever you desire, I shall grant it, he assured, thumping his chest. Speak freely. After a moment of contemplation, Jiang Yuan slowly articulated. If I truly possess the ability to assist your granddaughter in uprooting the power of the 5 major conglomerates, or even gradually annexing them, I hope you will pledge to regard me as your superior and delegate all authority to me. To regard me as your superior, the power in my hands. Jiang Yuan's succinct declaration caused the old man's brow to furrow deeply, his expression contorted in a manner reminiscent of a wilted flower. Had Jiang Yuan made any other request, he would have unhesitatingly acquiesced. After all, Jiang Yuan's mere presence before him was a testament to his extraordinary capabilities, potent enough to confront the formidable forces behind the Su family. The old man, well versed in the art of fate and destiny, discerned the remarkable qualities within Jiang Yuan. Such a person was anything but ordinary. In tumultuous times, it is often those with exceptional destinies who emerge as heroes, while in periods of peace, they are the great leaders. The prospect of having someone as formidable as Jiang Yuan assist in the welfare of his granddaughter was undeniably a tremendous boon. However, the condition Jiang Yuan proposed placed the old man in a precarious position, rendering him unable to respond immediately. The implication of Jiang Yuan's words was clear. Should he indeed succeed in aiding the old man's granddaughter to dismantle the 5 major conglomerates, the highest authority of the team would need to be entrusted to him. Without this stipulation, Jiang Yuan would merely be a pawn, a laborer under the auspices of the powerful. Yet, should he accept, it would signify Jiang Yuan's formal entry into the ranks of those engaged in strategic maneuvering. This distinction held vastly different connotations. Beneath this seemingly straightforward condition lay a profound shift in the entire paradigm. It represented acknowledgement, a mark of honor, and a divergence in fate of monumental significance. Jiang Yuan bowed slightly and smiled. Elder, you appear to be somewhat hesitant? The old man closed his eyes in contemplation for a considerable time before finally opening them and responding with a smile. Young man, your condition is indeed considerable, leaving little room for my hesitation. Jiang Yuan remained silent, patiently awaiting the old man's next words. The elderly gentleman spoke slowly throughout history. Those who achieve great things are known for their clear distinctions between reward and punishment for their subordinates. However, you must understand that your competition is formidable. My granddaughter's team is also filled with exceptional talents. Whether from my past cultivation or those illustrious individuals drawn to her, they are all extraordinary. Among these top-tier talents, some possess destinies that could rival your own. Their capabilities and talents may not fall short of yours. If you insist on this commitment, then very well. I shall grant it. If in the future you truly assist my granddaughter in encroaching upon and dividing the 5 major conglomerates, it will signify a retribution for my past grievances and a profound favor to my granddaughter. Li Shirong am willing to confer upon you the highest authority over the Li family. At this moment, Jiang Yuan finally learned the elderly man's true name, Li Shiyong, which signified the latter's willingness to accept Jiang Yuan's terms. Upon hearing his promise, Jiang Yuan clapped his hands in satisfaction and exclaimed, "Excellent! Since the esteemed elder has placed his trust in me, I, Jiang Yuan, shall undoubtedly honor that trust. I will ensure the safety of your granddaughter and avenge the grievances against the 5 major conglomerates." Chapter 426, The Paradise Consortium. After concluding the contract, Jiang Yuan immediately began discussing specific matters with the elderly Li Shirong. He calmly posed numerous inquiries, to which the elder generously provided thorough explanations. The two, despite their age difference, found themselves in harmonious agreement, engaging in a lively conversation that made them oblivious to the passage of time. As time flew by, it was only when Jiang Yuan departed from the elder's room that he realized dusk had nearly arrived. Meanwhile, Su Tianfei stood anxiously at the door, trembling as though treading on thin ice, resembling a lamb awaiting slaughter. Jiang Yuan cast a glance at him and asked, "Are you very afraid?" Su Tianfei lowered his head and replied, "Yes." Jiang Yuan smiled and inquired, "Why?" With utmost sincerity, Su Tianfei confessed, "After all, I intended to harm young Master Jiang. No matter how well I perform, you could never easily let me off." Jiang Yuan patted his shoulder and said, "As long as you understand. Do you have anything else to say?" A flicker of fear crossed Su Tianfei's eyes as he exclaimed, "I do. It was the Paradise Consortium that compelled me to act against you. My brother, Su Tianzhong, is now a senior executive in the PR department of the Paradise Consortium. I am willing to provide you with all the information I possess in exchange for your mercy." A smirk crept across Jiang Yuan's lips. He had initially intended to intimidate Su Tianfei, yet the latter's cowardice led him to divulge everything willingly. The mention of the Paradise Consortium elicited both surprise and a sense of inevitability within Jiang Yuan. The Paradise Consortium was an absolute titan in the global gaming industry. According to the corporate financial report released last year, the consortium's revenue had surpassed 460 billion yuan within 5 years. The majority of the consortium's income stemmed from the gaming sector, bolstered by the sale of highly sought-after hardware and devices due to their monopoly on first-party games. Jiang Yuan's company, Yuanmei Games, had expanded so rapidly in recent years that it encroached upon the Paradise Consortium's territory, threatening their interests, which led to a coalition of gaming moguls joining forces against him. The demo version of Legend of the Watchers released by Jiang Yuan had further intensified the pressure on them. Thus, the Paradise Consortium, through special channels, had bribed members of the Su family with the intent to eliminate Jiang Yuan. This was the impetus behind the series of unexpected incidents during this trip to City S. Su Tianzhong, is it? A cold smile graced Jiang Yuan's lips. The Paradise Consortium and Su Tianzhong, I shall make you both witness the dire consequences of crossing me. However, what puzzled Jiang Yuan was the elderly secretary, who had been quite animated until now sat dejectedly on the ground with his head bowed, as though mourning a great loss. Perceiving Jiang Yuan's gaze, the old secretary lifted his head slightly and, with a mournful smile, said, "Jiang Yuan, you have encountered a benefactor, and surely your fortunes are set to rise. In the days to come, you will soar to great heights, standing tall among your peers. I beseech you to spare my young master." As for how to deal with Su Tianfei, Jiang Yuan pondered for a moment before deciding to imprison him, intending to use him as leverage in the future or, if necessary, to provoke his brother Su Tianzhong, causing him to lose his composure. Simultaneously, Jiang Yuan picked up the phone and called Xiao Yan. "A press conference is to be convened immediately. Tomorrow, you shall present the recent achievements and showcase them to the world." Jiang Yuan's initiative is not merely to unveil a game. Rather, it is a bold provocation directed towards the Heavenly Consortium, a forthright declaration that Jiang Yuan continues to thrive despite their attempts, rendering their efforts utterly futile. On the other end of the line, Xiao Yan suggested, "Perhaps we should choose another date, as many foreign gaming companies are launching new products tomorrow." However, Jiang Yuan countered, "Precisely. Let us confront them head-on. Why should we yield to these foreigners?" Chapter 427, The highly anticipated launch event. Jiang Yuan sat calmly in the live broadcast studio, with Xiao Yan standing beside him, holding the materials prepared for the event mentally rehearsing for the upcoming presentation. The event was set to be streamed online. Even before the broadcast officially commenced, the studio had already attracted a considerable audience, approximately 120,000 viewers. After all, Yuan Mei is one of the few prestigious gaming companies in the country, and the last demo of The Legend of the Watcher had left many in awe. However, the comments in the live chat were far from friendly. Most were filled with grievances. While there was excitement for the new release, many questioned the timing of the event. Today coincided with the launch of several new titles from foreign companies. No matter how fragrant the flowers at home might be, they could not compete with those blooming outside. Supporting domestic products is commendable, but one cannot overlook the superior craftsmanship of foreign game developers, who have led the industry for years. Could they not have chosen a different time? The neighboring stream had amassed over 5 million viewers while theirs barely exceeded 100,000, indicating a clear scheduling conflict. Did they truly believe they could compete? Jiang Yuan observed the scrolling comments, feeling no wavering in his resolve. He possessed unwavering confidence in his creation. Adults should exhibit mature judgment, able to assess the current situation and adopt an appropriate mindset to navigate challenges. This is the hallmark of a capable thinker. He glanced at Xiao Yan, signaling her that it was time to begin. "Let us start," Jiang Yuan said with a smile. Xiao Yan nodded and unveiled the game as highly anticipated teaser trailer, showcasing the world view, gameplay, storyline, and the character designs of the main protagonists. Indeed, as the event commenced, the atmosphere in the studio began to shift dramatically. The earlier complaints about scheduling conflicts and the somewhat aggressive comments diminished significantly. The majority of viewers were instantly captivated by the visuals and characters of The Legend of the Watcher. The artistic style of the graphics was remarkably mature. Although rendered in a cartoonish manner, it exuded a sense of comfort rather than childishness. The female characters were stunning. Such divine beauty had been rare in games for quite some time. The peacock feather-like cloaks, intricately connected at the top and bottom, not only appeared nimble, but also harmonized with the cloud-like patterns on the chest, creating a sense of lightness. This costume design beautifully melded traditional Dragon Kingdom aesthetics with modern sensibilities, showcasing an impressive level of artistry. Wife, wife, wife. The rapid shift in public sentiment was astonishing. Those who had just been voicing complaints now proclaimed their admiration. After all, the pursuit of beauty is deeply ingrained in the human spirit. The high caliber of artistic design and visuals presented during this launch event undoubtedly stood out as a significant highlight. In a fleeting moment, numerous players watching the press conference began to share the live broadcast from Yuan Mei Company in their chat groups and with friends and family, inadvertently creating a herd mentality that drew countless individuals to Jiang Yuan's streaming room. Within the conference room of the Paradise Consortium, Senior Public Relations Manager Su Tianzhong wore an exceedingly grim expression. Observing the live stream, he noted Jiang Yuan's vibrant demeanor as he presented his work, showing no signs of having endured any calamity. How could it be that a mere dragon nation had failed in the mission to eliminate Jiang Yuan? Chapter 428. The arrogance of the Paradise Consortium. Jiang Yuan and Xiao Yan sat on either side of the screen, while the center showcased the gameplay, character designs, and live demonstrations of the game. The atmosphere in Jiang Yuan's live stream was almost electric, brimming with fervor. The barrage of comments flooded in, all abuzz with discussions about the preview of Legend of the Watcher. As the live demonstration commenced, the popularity of the live stream skyrocketed, rapidly climbing from an initial audience of 1.2 million to approximately 2.7 million. This surge in Jiang Yuan's viewership correspondingly led to a stark decline in the popularity of other streams, particularly the product launch stream spearheaded by the Paradise Consortium, which plummeted from nearly 6 million to under 4 million. In the conference room of the Paradise Consortium, the atmosphere was fraught with tension. Su Tianzhong, the Senior Public Relations Manager, had orchestrated the attempt to undermine Jiang Yuan's platform, bridging connections between the Su family and influential figures. Yet now, not only was Jiang Yuan thriving, but he was also hosting a product launch that directly competed for market share. As the viewership of the Paradise Consortium's livestream dwindled, and Jiang Yuan's Yuan Mei livestream flourished, one individual could no longer contain himself and remarked with a furrowed brow, "How dare they release a competing product at the same time as our launch? This company, Yuan Mei, is formidable. Their previous demo release caused significant ripples in the stock market. They are not to be underestimated. This is a formidable opponent. We must devise a strategy without delay." Su Tianzhong rose slowly, raising his hand to calm the room. "Rest assured, this company from the Dragon Country poses little threat. Our public relations department boasts the finest team in the world. capable of easily overshadowing them from a public opinion standpoint. His words, though elegantly articulated, merely referred to the artifice of manipulating public sentiment through orchestrated smear campaigns or other negative press. Su Tianzhong was exceptionally adept at such tactics, frequently leveraging the Su family's robust intelligence network to co-opt influential figures across various fields to create a favorable narrative. In the past, he had successfully dismantled numerous potent gaming companies with his strategies. Thus, his reassurances acted as a soothing balm, leading the executives of the Paradise Consortium to nod in agreement. Indeed, the prowess of your public relations department has always been formidable. Coupled with our consortium's substantial financial resources, how could a mere gaming company from the Dragon Country stand a chance against us? The collapse of their reputation is merely a matter of time. Our Paradise Consortium has stood for over 200 years. We are not to be challenged by a small firm from the Dragon Country. How dare they confront us head-on and audaciously siphon off our attention and audience? Such audacity is nothing short of reckless. The people of Longhua exhibit arrogance and ignorance. As long as we proceed steadily, they can never be our rivals. In terms of resources, talent, and channels, we possess a comprehensive advantage that utterly overwhelms them. Chapter 429. The malicious defamation by trolls. The live broadcast conference hosted by Jiang Yuan was in full swing, captivating a multitude of players with its exquisite visuals and outstanding artistry. Gifts poured in continuously within the streaming room, and the viewer count soared, unexpectedly surpassing 3 million, marking it as a standout on the streaming platform. In stark contrast, the competing livestream next door was witnessing a dramatic decline in viewership, hovering around 4 million, on the brink of dropping below that threshold. If this trend continued, it seemed that today's live conference battle would conclude with Jiang Yuan firmly in control. As Xiaoyan elaborated on the game's universe and narrative, she discreetly glanced at Jiang Yuan's profile. His countenance was like a jade crown, exuding charm and brilliance. Her heart raced slightly, stirring a subtle feeling towards him. In truth, Xiaoyan was not entirely in favor of today's conference. She believed it would be wiser to schedule the live stream at a different time, avoiding the competition with rival companies. However, Jiang Yuan, embodying the role of a steadfast leader, had decisively commanded that they confront the foreign competitors head-on today. Perhaps it was his unwavering confidence in their product that emboldened him to choose this moment for the launch, Xiaoyan mused. Taking advantage of this peak in platform traffic, they could leverage their substantial strengths to divert and absorb viewers. What appeared to be a disadvantage in timing had, in fact, transformed into their advantage. As Xiaoyan contemplated, her admiration for Jiang Yuan's courage, confidence, and decisiveness deepened. This seemingly unwise decision, perceived as a disadvantage, was underpinned by a unique understanding. Such intelligence was indeed captivating, and any woman would find it hard to resist a man of high intellect. Often, it is this very cleverness that renders a man most alluring. Moreover, such a bold decision, akin to fighting with one's back against the wall, demanded not only intellect but also immense self-assurance. As the popularity of the broadcast surged, the atmosphere in the streaming room grew increasingly intense. Xiaoyan's feelings of admiration and respect for Jiang Yuan quietly flourished. Just as everything appeared to be flourishing and progressing in a positive direction, unfriendly comments suddenly floated through the live chat. This game is a ripoff. A prominent influencer has already exposed it. This gameplay, the artistry, and the character designs are all plagiarized from other games. Everyone, stop watching. This Yuan Mei company has exhausted its creativity and now resorts to such despicable acts. It's truly disgraceful. Upon seeing these comments, Xiaoyan's heart sank, sensing that the situation was turning dire. If it were merely an occasional scattering of negative comments, she might have managed to navigate through it. However, it was now evident that someone was orchestrating a malicious smear campaign against Yuan Mei, manipulating influential figures to write disparaging articles. This was an organized and premeditated assault, fueled by paid trolls. A cold sweat trickled down Xiaoyan's back as the situation suddenly took a turn for the worse. Once the tide of accusations of plagiarism began to rise, it would be nearly impossible to halt its momentum, inevitably spiraling into an endless online feud. Should the matter be mishandled, Yuan Mei Jiang Yuan could easily become a pariah, reviled by all. Just as her heart brimmed with anxiety, Jiang Yuan quietly took her hand and murmured, "Do not worry, I have a plan." Chapter 430. Investigate thoroughly. Jiang Yuan had previously promised that if Xiao Yin excelled in this endeavor, he would provide her with clues regarding the mysterious circumstances surrounding her parents' accident. However, it was evident that someone was malevolently interfering. if matters were to deteriorate, she, as the primary leader of this project, would undoubtedly bear the brunt of the blame. Consequently, any information about Xiao Yan's parents would likely dissipate into oblivion. As Xiao Yan found herself consumed with anxiety, the warmth emanating from Jiang Yuan's palm served as a lifeline, pulling her back to reality. She glanced at him in confusion, only to find him unfazed, his eyes glimmering with a hint of wisdom. The practice of employing internet trolls and influential figures to maliciously defame others is, in fact, quite common. This tactic has evolved beyond mere conspiracy. It has become a calculated strategy. It exploits a psychological phenomenon known as the herd effect. By relentlessly leveraging financial resources to purchase the loyalty of certain influential online personalities, one can orchestrate a smear campaign against competitors. As a result, the fervent followers of these bloggers will inevitably join the fray, hurling insults and accusations. Soon, a wave of oblivious onlookers will swell the ranks. And once this tide takes hold, it becomes unstoppable. Anyone who dares to intervene risks being labeled a villain, facing public backlash and retribution. Meanwhile, those who funded the campaign revel in their success, as it allows them to eliminate competition with ease, thereby securing their commercial advantage. This strategy incurs minimal costs, merely public relations fees, and even if the scheme is uncovered, the perpetrators remain untraceable, rendering it an exceptionally lucrative enterprise. Regrettably, innocent individuals become collateral damage, victimized by those wielded as pawns. Numerous celebrities, when embroiled in scandal, resort to public relations firms to rehabilitate their image, while others use these services to tarnish their rivals, fabricating damaging narratives to effortlessly obliterate competition. Jiang Yuan pondered this reality, recognizing the exceptional profitability of such tactics. Fortunately, he had anticipated these developments and was well prepared. Jiang Yuan possessed a profound understanding of human nature and had long grasped the essence of deceit. Once an individual recognizes that lies can yield greater rewards with lesser consequences, the temptation to deceive becomes nearly irresistible. Yet, lies are a double-edged sword. They can serve as an advantage or become a liability. The crux of this dilemma lies in the disparity of information. After confiscating the Su family's assets, Su Tianfei naturally entrusted the extensive information network cultivated by his ancestors to Jiang Yuan. This formidable source of intelligence was undoubtedly pivotal in reversing the current predicament. Without hesitation, Jiang Yuan discreetly issued orders. Document all those prominent figures disseminating false information and maligning our company for alleged plagiarism. Compile a comprehensive list and submit it to our information department for analysis. Once upon a time, the intelligence network of the Su family, led by Su Tianfei and his loyal secretary, was not in a state of paralysis. On the contrary, after Jiang Yuan took the helm, it thrived, bolstered by the financial support provided by him. The adage to raise an army for 1,000 days is to use it for but an hour rings true. Should this department fail to demonstrate its vital role at a crucial moment, future funding might not be so readily approved. Thus, upon receiving Jiang Yuan's initial command, they did not dare to slacken their efforts, but rather, they sprang into action with great urgency. Meanwhile, those well-fed influencers, oblivious to the impending storm, could not have imagined the wrath that awaited them. Chapter 431. The terrifying information machine. Jiang Yuan wielded immense authority, with merely a command. The vast information intelligence apparatus sprang into action. In the past, the Su family struggled to control this formidable machine due to financial constraints, striving to utilize resources efficiently and prioritize cost-effectiveness. However, in Jiang Yuan's eyes, ordinary financial expenditures were merely figures on a ledger, as money was no longer an obstacle. What he sought was the clarity of thought. Once the entire information machine received ample financial backing, it activated with the ferocity of a terrifying war weapon fueled by energy. In less than 15 minutes, detailed information on the prominent figures listed surged forth like a relentless tide. Xiao Yan, drenched in cold sweat, exclaimed in astonishment. If all this information is made public, it will surely cause a seismic upheaval. Are we really going to proceed with this? With a glint of cold determination in his eyes, Jiang Yuan replied, since they have already dared to bully our compatriots in Long Country, utilizing the treachery of our own, the greedy and unprincipled, why should we protect their facade? Let us reveal everything without reservation. Throughout history, the most despicable and shameful were not the enemies, but those who betrayed their fellow countrymen for personal gain. These individuals, under the guise of not deceiving their own, specifically targeted their compatriots. Just as in today's events, These minor celebrities, once they accepted money from foreigners, unhesitatingly vilified Jiang Yuan's company, maliciously tarnishing its reputation. They failed to consider the repercussions on Long Country's honor, for their hearts were solely consumed by self-interest, devoid of any sense of national pride. Regarding such contemptible individuals, Jiang Yuan had no intention of sparing them. He was determined to expose every bit of their dark dealings. Meanwhile, within the Paradise Consortium, a jubilant atmosphere prevailed as they prepared to celebrate their victory. The artistic prowess of Yuan Mei Company was indeed formidable. Had it not been for our exceptional public relations strategies, we would have faced significant losses today. I have always asserted that our public relations team is the finest in the world. Su Tianzhong held a goblet filled with deep crimson, exquisite red wine, and smiled as he addressed the gathering. Ladies and gentlemen, I have long maintained that the people of Long Country are hardly a concern. Our public relations team can handle them effortlessly. Su Tianzhong's confidence was not unfounded. At that moment, the online reputation of Yuan Mei Company had plummeted from a wave of accolades to a cacophony of mixed reviews. Initially, only a few had begun to echo accusations of plagiarism, their influence relatively minor. However, as prominent figures from Long Country penned scathing articles in condemnation, the tide swiftly turned, overwhelming the company with a deluge of criticism. Many unsuspecting bystanders joined the fray, vociferously denouncing Yuan Mei Company's reprehensible actions. However, few are truly willing to undertake a thorough comparison to ascertain whether Yuan Mei Company has indeed engaged in plagiarism. Most individuals simply follow the crowd in their criticism. In Jiang Yuan's live broadcast, the cacophony of disparagement is overwhelming, leading to a gradual decline in reputation. If this trend continues, Su Tianzhong may find himself grinning uncontrollably, while the day's ultimate victor is likely to be the Heavenly Financial Group. Chapter 432. The astonishing Su Tianzhong with a command from Jiang Yuan. The entire information machine sprang into action, fervently scouring for every pertinent detail about the involved parties. Following his directive, the identities of all the creators of fabricated information were meticulously laid bare. Meanwhile, Xiao Yin diligently sought out some of the most esteemed influencers in their respective fields, consolidating all this information for a collective release. These revelations detonated across the vast ocean of the internet, akin to a series of explosive bombs, generating tumultuous waves of shock. The disbelief was palpable among the masses, particularly among the fans of those influencers, who struggled to reconcile the truth that what they had fervently believed was merely a concoction of deceit. In an instant, numerous convictions lay in ruins. The realization dawned upon them that they had been duped. Now, with irrefutable evidence in hand, the truth was undeniably confirmed. Those who had been engaging in lively discourse online were, in fact, mercenaries for hire. A web of lies, a colossal deception. They had been mere pawns in someone else's scheme, weaponized against their own. I had previously cross-referenced the situation. It was evident that Yuan Mei Corporation's latest product, the Guardian Legend, bore no trace of plagiarism. It was clear that a hidden agenda was at play, orchestrated by foreign entities. How despicable that our compatriots had accepted bribes to vilify their own kind. In the conference room of the Heavenly Consortium, gasps of disbelief echoed throughout. Su Tianzhong's wine glass shattered upon the floor, crimson liquid splattering everywhere, yet no one paid it any heed. All eyes were riveted on the unfolding events. Su Tianfeng, renowned for his exceptional public relations acumen within the Heavenly Consortium, found his countenance frozen in shock, reminiscent of a twisted chrysanthemum. With astonishment, Su Tianzhong exclaimed, "How is this possible? This Jiang Yuan possesses such extraordinary means to uncover the list of our purchased individuals, and even retrieve all correspondence between us?" A foreboding sensation began to swell within him. Could it be that the assassination attempt on Jiang Yuan not only failed, but that even the formidable information network of the Su family had fallen into Jiang Yuan's grasp? The more he pondered, the more dread enveloped him. After all, the only individual capable of such feats within the inner circles of the Dragon Kingdom was his own brother. Su Tianfei, a man of questionable merit who had likely capitulated to Jiang Yuan, surrendering the Su family's intelligence apparatus. How infuriating! I have underestimated Jiang Yuan. Su Tianzhong seethed inwardly. His engagement with Jiang Yuan on behalf of the Heavenly Consortium had clearly extinguished any hope for a comeback. What awaited him, undoubtedly, would be a stringent accountability. At that moment, the conference room doors swung open abruptly. A voice, brimming with confidence and pride, resonated through the air. "Oh, Su Tianfeng, I have heard that you have made quite a mess of things. Indeed, someone of your caliber, relying solely on petty tricks, is utterly useless. In our heavenly consortium, we have no need for individuals of your ilk. Upon hearing this taunting remark, Su Tianzhang's expression darkened significantly, yet a chilling sense of dread began to rise within him. Chapter 433. Defeating Heaven. Renowned far and wide, the press conference for Yuan Mei Company, presided over by Jiang Yuan himself, lasted an impressive 6 hours. Despite encountering numerous obstacles along the way, which caused a significant decline in the mid-session viewership, Jiang Yuan's decisive measures effectively countered the rumors with a thunderous response. Ultimately, the popularity surged to a staggering lead of nearly 2 million over other live streams. This outcome can certainly be described as a resounding triumph, leaving competitors in disarray. Even as Su Tianzhang from the Heaven Group attempted to orchestrate a counterattack, he regrettably misjudged Jiang Yuan's strength, resulting in his current accountability. Within the Heaven Group, Su Tianzhang had ascended to the position of public relations manager through less than honorable means, enjoying a seemingly smooth journey. However, given the vastness of the Heaven Group, even his role as a manager was merely that of an ordinary leader. Had it not been for his family's long-standing collaborations and previous contributions to the group in Longhua, he might have faced immediate dismissal. Yet, while he could evade a death sentence, the repercussions of his actions were inescapable. Su Tianzhang's heart was flooded with regret as he lamented. Why did he underestimate Jiang Yuan? In truth, he should have anticipated that as long as Jiang Yuan was alive, he had likely already defeated the Su family's influence and seized control of their intelligence capabilities. He had been complacent. Su Tianzhang was nearly grinding his teeth in frustration. Unfortunately, there exists no remedy for regret in this world. No matter how much he lamented at this moment, he could not escape the consequences of his actions. Before Su Tianzhang stood Zhang Tianheng, a key executive of the Heaven Group. Su Tianzhang, your ascent in recent years has relied on trivial schemes and a stroke of luck, but have you not grown overly complacent? Zhang Tianheng scoffed. You cannot even handle a mere individual named Jiang Yuan, yet you harbor delusions of achieving great accomplishments for Ms. Zhang? Such fantasies are absurd. You would do well to suppress your greedy and foolish aspirations. At these words, an expression of profound unwillingness flickered in Su Tianzhang's eyes as he stared intently at Zhang Tianheng. Miss Zhang, the esteemed princess of the Heaven Group, was not only exceptionally beautiful but wielded significant power. Within the inner circle of the Heaven Group, she was regarded almost as a royal figure. Both Zhang Tianheng and Su Tianzhang harbored deep feelings for her, creating an unspoken rivalry between them. Thus, Zhang Tianheng's delight in Su Tianzhang's misfortune was palpable. Leave this Jiang Yuan to me. The reputation of the Heaven Group cannot afford to be tarnished by your ineptitude, Zhang Tianheng taunted. After all, an individual of your caliber might only be suited for menial tasks. Su Tianzhang's fury nearly boiled over, but the truth remained. He had indeed been bested by Jiang Yuan, and the vanquished had no words to offer. The recent triumph of Jiang Yuan over the Paradise Consortium has unfolded like a fierce tempest, sweeping across the landscape. In the north, within a villa blanketed by pristine white snow, a woman of exquisite beauty and regal demeanor listens intently to the reports from her subordinates. Upon concluding the briefing, she gently parts her cherry lips and murmurs, "This individual, Jiang Yuan, from the Dragon Kingdom, has boldly stood against the Paradise Consortium." Chapter 434. The Departure under the Night Sky. Adorned with countless stars, Jiang Yuan reclined comfortably on his bed, carefully examining the banquet invitation entrusted to him by Zhou Ziang. After a prolonged moment of contemplation, he could not help but let out a faint, bittersweet smile, shaking his head gently as he closed his eyes, feeling the weight of the invitation resting heavily in his hand. He was about to represent the Dragon Kingdom at this significant banquet, a matter that pertained to the honor of his nation, and it was of utmost seriousness. At this gathering, he anticipated encountering numerous obstacles. After all, he had only recently engaged in a direct confrontation with the Paradise Consortium. Although he had emerged victorious, it was important to recognize that the opponent had not yet revealed their true strength. This time, the Paradise Consortium had merely dispatched Su Tianzhang, a public relations figure, to negotiate. They had resorted to hiring influencers to craft articles and employing online armies for a war of public opinion, tactics that, while effective, were ultimately underhanded, and their genuine hard power had yet to be unveiled. This was undoubtedly a formidable adversary, and one could not afford to be complacent. Moreover, Li Laoli and Li Shurong had long warned him that many coveted the assets of his granddaughter. Among the 5 major conglomerates, ambition ran rampant. Should they succeed in absorbing the vast wealth of the Li family, it could very well destabilize the entire structure of the five major consortiums. It might even give rise to a colossal entity capable of unifying the five conglomerates, emerging as a dominant force in the world. For such a prize, one could expect many ruthless individuals to emerge. The world has never been short of geniuses, and the upcoming World Banquet promised to be fiercely competitive. Jiang Yuan pondered these thoughts. Nonetheless, overthinking would yield little benefit. He would adapt as circumstances unfolded. Just as he was deep in thought, a gentle knock echoed at the door. With a slight smile, Jiang Yuan invited, "Come in. I've been waiting for you." The door creaked open, revealing the graceful figure of Xiao Yan, whose demeanor radiated a blend of bashfulness and anticipation. Jiang Yuan smiled at her and said, "It is time for me to fulfill my promise. Regarding your parents, I have actually obtained some leads." Xiao Yan held her breath, her attention entirely focused on Jiang Yuan as he continued. "According to the intelligence, a prominent consortium in the north possesses information about your parents. Our attendance at this crucial banquet may provide us the opportunity to uncover details about their whereabouts." Xiao Yan's expression shifted, initially filled with confusion, then blossoming into profound gratitude towards Jiang Yuan. "Thank you," she said earnestly. Jiang Yuan waved his hand dismissively, signaling her not to dwell on it. Just as Xiao Yan was about to speak again, another knock resounded at the door. "Please, you may go now. I have matters to discuss with someone," Jiang Yuan instructed. Xiao Yan paused momentarily, only to be greeted by a fragrant breeze as a charming lady entered the room, approaching Jiang Yuan. It was Yao Wenwen. At present, it is a crucial time for recruitment. Among the exceptionally talented individuals around Jiang Yuan, besides Xiao Yan, Yao Wenwen stands out as a person worthy of cultivation. Consequently, Jiang Yuan and Yao Wenwen engaged in a close and intimate conversation. Upon witnessing their closeness, Xiao Yan could not help but feel a wave of bittersweet emotions surging within her. Chapter 435. The venue of the World Banquet. After meticulous preparations spanning roughly a week, Jiang Yuan finally embarked on his journey aboard a private jet destined for the World Banquet. During this interval, he engaged in thorough discussions with Li Shiyong regarding various intricacies and the potential adversaries he might soon encounter. The stipulations and remuneration from the elder Li were straightforward, having already been settled with Jiang Yuan. The compensation, needless to say, encompassed all business assets acquired through Jiang Yuan's efforts, granting him the utmost authority and honor over them. Li Lao's condition was clear. Jiang Yuan must not disclose his identity to his granddaughter unless absolutely necessary, nor reveal that he had not passed away. Jiang Yuan understood this perfectly. While he may have harbored a desire for seclusion from worldly matters, he could not bear the thought of his granddaughter's safety being compromised. Thus, he took it upon himself to safeguard her discreetly, refraining from revealing his true identity. As for the companions accompanying him, Jiang Yuan adopted a principle of complete voluntariness. Ultimately, aside from Xiao Yan and Yao Wenwen, he brought along several maids primarily responsible for his daily needs. The venue of this world banquet was located in the nearby northern country. Even though his private jet was remarkably swift, it took a considerable 4 days and 3 nights to reach their destination. Although there were minor issues pertaining to visas, presenting the invitation letter facilitated their immediate passage and ensured they received the highest standard of hospitality. Upon finally arriving at the destination, Jiang Yuan was taken aback by the beauty of the chosen locale for the world banquet. It was a city cloaked in a silvery white blanket of snow. Fluffy snowflakes danced gracefully in the air, and rather than an atmosphere of solitude, the vibrant cultural fervor of the city radiated an enchanting charm reminiscent of a dazzling display of lights. This splendid, mysterious city was situated on a small island. Jiang Yuan soon discovered that the local populace was not only warm and welcoming, but also entirely accepting of outsiders. Despite concealing his identity, he found himself invited by several friendly locals to indulge in generous cups of the region's exquisite wine. From these interactions, he learned that the name of the island was Adam. Leaning closer, Yao Wenwen whispered in Jiang Yuan's ear, "Boss, the banquet is about to commence this evening. It's already 2 in the afternoon. We should hurry to the designated place to check in." Jiang Yuan nodded in acknowledgement. This world banquet promised each guest premium accommodation, with suites and service quality that were unparalleled. The lodging arrangements were tailored to provide comfort levels that even the finest hotels in the outside world could not offer. Before departing, he graciously treated the amiable locals to a round of drinks, embodying the wisdom of the ancient saying, "Those who gain the people's favor thrive. Those who lose it perish." Upon his arrival, Jiang Yuan was struck by the simplicity and warmth of the local customs. both publicly and privately. He willingly treated the locals to a meal. The sincere hospitality and love for fine wine among the people brought forth their beaming smiles, and they unanimously gave Jiang Yuan a thumbs up. Beyond his poised generosity, they were also quietly astonished by his substantial financial means. The expense of hosting such a large gathering was no trifling matter. This young man displayed an extraordinary level of generosity. Although many visitors come to our locale for tourism and leisure, individuals as magnanimous as he are indeed a rarity. Chapter 436. The hubris of the World Hotel. Jiang Yuan's seemingly ordinary meal earned him an exceptionally favorable first impression among the public. Although the affluent individuals frequenting this establishment were among the most renowned in the world, such figures often exhibited an air of arrogance, reluctant to engage with the common populace. Yet, in Jiang Yuan's eyes, the reality was entirely different. History teaches that those who gain the favor of the people thrive, while those who lose it perish. These seemingly inconspicuous individuals sometimes wield astonishing power. Jiang Yuan, possessing a mind both profound and strategic, elicited a subtle admiration from Xiao Yan as she discreetly observed his profile. Xiao Yan's favorite readings were the 24 Histories, chronicling the lives of those who ascended to power. For those who achieve success, true strength does not always stem from wealth or weaponry, but often from an understanding of the human heart. Those who can win the hearts of the people ultimately prevail. In Jiang Yuan, she felt a palpable charisma. Drinking with others brought endless joy. Upon his arrival, Jiang Yuan found himself in high spirits. However, the journey was not without its challenges. Upon arriving at the prearranged hotel, Jiang Yuan and his companions were quite pleased with the splendid and spacious surroundings. Yet, the demeanor of the hotel staff at the front desk was notably indifferent. They merely cast a cursory glance at Jiang Yuan's group, meticulously verified the invitation to the World Banquet, and then coldly stated, "Your rooms have been arranged. Please make yourselves at home." At these words, Jiang Yuan raised an eyebrow. Their tone suggested they had no intention of escorting the group to their rooms. Xiao Yan was equally incensed, feeling that such indifference was excessive, even for a standard hotel. What was even more infuriating was the arrival of a foreign entourage shortly thereafter. The staff suddenly flocked to them, eager to assist, offering to carry their luggage and enthusiastically introducing the island's sights and culinary delights. That emblem, it belongs to the Paradise Consortium, Xiao Yan exclaimed in a hushed tone, her gaze sharp as she recognized the group at a glance. Jiang Yuan's expression tightened. The obsequious staff had discerned the affiliation of these individuals. This world often proves smaller than one might anticipate. He had recently encountered members of the Paradise Consortium, even besting Su Tianzhong. Little did he expect to cross paths with them so soon again, and in the very hotel hosting the World Banquet. As the staff passed by Jiang Yuan and his companions, their hushed whispers reached his ears. These Dragon Country folks truly do not know their place. I hear they dared to clash with the Paradise Consortium. They're as good as finished. Indeed, the people of Longhua are remarkably arrogant. I have heard of a certain Yuanmei company that dares to compete with the Paradise Consortium, challenging them for prominence at the same time and even causing quite a bit of trouble for the esteemed organization. These ignorant individuals will probably never grasp the extent of the formidable power possessed by the Paradise Consortium. Chapter 437. What is wealth? Jiang Yuan's gaze was piercing, and he had come to realize that the reason the waitstaff treated him with such indifference was their desire to delineate boundaries and sever ties. They were eager to align themselves with the Heavenly Consortium, clearly indicating their allegiance to that formidable entity. After all, the Heavenly Consortium is one of the 5 major conglomerates in the world, its power unquestionable. Any astute individual would aspire to associate with such authority. In contrast, as a citizen of the Dragon Kingdom, Jiang Yuan remained relatively obscure on the global stage. His identity as a challenger, particularly in defying the Heavenly Consortium, had already become the subject of widespread discussion. Many onlookers wished to distance themselves from him, seeking to avoid any connection. In their eyes, the Heavenly Consortium resembled a colossal war beast, dominating the landscape, while Jiang Yuan was merely a rising star from the Dragon Kingdom, insignificant like an ant. The disparity in their standings was vast. Should a conflict arise, they could extinguish Jiang Yuan with the same ease as one crushes an ant. To avert any potential repercussions, it was only natural for them to isolate him from their ranks. Xiao Yan expressed her indignation. These individuals are remarkably short-sighted. It is merely the Heavenly Consortium. What is there to fear? We shall surely defeat them in due time. Their dismissive attitude towards us today will be their regret later. Beside her, Yao Wenwen echoed her frustrations. These people are blind to the reality, hastily drawing a line between us out of fear of unwarranted consequences. How foolish, Jiang Yuan replied calmly. I anticipated this scenario prior to our arrival. After all, the previous incident did garner considerable attention, and the name of the Heavenly Consortium is indeed formidable. They are merely ordinary individuals, driven by fear for their own lives. There is no need to dwell on their actions. Just as he finished speaking, a crisp and resounding applause erupted from behind. Jiang Yuan turned to see a graceful young lady, her demeanor poised and charming, smiling at him. Indeed, Jiang Yuan, you possess a rare fortitude. To provoke the Heavenly Consortium and remain so composed in the face of adversity is truly remarkable. Most would be incensed at such repudiation. Yet you maintain your tranquility, the young lady remarked with a smile. Jiang Yuan furrowed his brow and inquired, And you are? With a playful smile, the young lady replied, I am but a servant, merely delivering a message from my lady to seek your counsel on a matter. Jiang Yuan asked, And who might your lady be? The young lady shook her head. If you cannot discern the answer to the question, then you are not worthy of knowing her name. Jiang Yuan nodded, his mind already weighing the implications. Even without revealing her identity, it was highly probable that she was associated with one of the 5 major conglomerates. Given their presence at the global banquet, Yao Wenwen, intrigued, asked, What is the question? Jiang Yuan gestured invitingly. Please, present your inquiry. The young maiden's bright eyes sparkled like dewdrops as she smiled and said, Jiang Yuan, your assets have surpassed 100 billion. Many toil their entire lives, yet cannot attain your wealth. But what is your understanding of riches? Or rather, what constitutes true wealth? Yao Wenwen could not help but find this somewhat absurd, remarking, Isn't wealth merely money? This question is trivial. Xiao Yin immediately shook her head, asserting, The reality is far more complex. Historically, during the fall of the Qin dynasty, various powerful factions were preoccupied with plundering gold and jewels, fixated solely on monetary gain. Yet, there was one individual who showed no interest in wealth, choosing instead to stockpile grain. As time progressed to the tumultuous era of the Chu Han contention, amidst chaos and soaring prices, grain became scarce. Many powerful lords, in a bid for survival, were compelled to exchange all their riches for food. Jiang Yuan nodded, recalling that during the late Han and the Three Kingdoms period, Dongzhuo was singularly focused on gold and jewels, oppressing the populace with heavy taxes. Ultimately, it was Cao Cao who prioritized agricultural stockpiling that gained a financial advantage, ensuring the stability of his supply lines. The maiden smiled. I assume you have arrived at your answer? Jiang Yuan nodded thoughtfully, yet he did not rush to respond, instead taking a moment to ponder deeply. Chapter 438. The overbearing answer. Jiang Yuan did not hasten to respond. Instead, he contemplated the question repeatedly in his mind. The young girl's eyes revealed a glimmer of admiration, and her delicate cheeks, reminiscent of peach blossoms, displayed a hint of a smile. Actually, both of you ladies might also attempt to answer. Perhaps your insights could assist Jiang Yuan, she suggested to the girls beside her, Yao Wenwen and Xiao Yan. Meanwhile, the attention of the hotel management staff at the World Banquet, particularly the executives, was entirely fixated on the young girl. Unlike the lower-tier service personnel who were distancing themselves from Jiang Yuan's group while attempting to curry favor with the Heavenly Consortium, these executives exhibited greater sagacity. They refrained from making any hasty declarations and instead observed the unfolding developments with quiet vigilance. Especially in the presence of the girl who posed the question to Jiang Yuan, the executives' expressions were marked by a grave intensity, clearly indicating their apprehension regarding her identity. Their attitude towards Jiang Yuan was somewhat nuanced. On one hand, they desired to maintain a separation to avert any potential calamity. On the other hand, should Jiang Yuan succeed in answering the question and forge a connection with this young lady, the situation would become considerably more intricate. Upon receiving the invitation to respond, Xiao Yin and Yao Wenwen exchanged glances, prompting them to ponder the answer. After a brief moment, Yao Wenwen ventured, I have heard it said that money is a form of currency which represents trust. Thus, the essence of wealth must be a profound trust. For it is this trust that enables the exchange for various abundant resources. Xiao Yin, after thoughtful consideration, slowly articulated, I believe that wealth is a manifestation of desire. It is our aspiration for a better life that compels us to create resources through our labor. Upon hearing their responses, the girl couldn't help but applaud, her gaze toward the two now imbued with a measure of approval. Since these two young women possessed their own perspectives, they were evidently not mere followers. However, If Jiang Yuan were to reply in a similar vein, disappointment would surely linger in her heart. Wealth as trust, wealth as desire. These answers, while not incorrect, were merely acceptable. She yearned for a response imbued with greater profundity. At that moment, after a prolonged silence, Jiang Yuan finally spoke. Wealth is a form of power. It is the supreme authority that governs the lives and fates of individuals, dictating their joys and sorrows, and commanding the entirety of their arduous existence. It is the hilt of a sharp sword, the resplendent gem encrusted at the tip of a scepter, a melody capable of inducing intoxication and reverie. Power. Jiang Yuan's response resonated with an air of dominance and confidence.